Welcome to the part 6 of Villain, the School Beauty's plot. If you encounter any issues or have feedback, please let me know in the comments rather than just disliking the video. Your input helps me improve, and I'm here to make sure you have the best experience possible. Enjoy the content.
Chapter 126, Part 1. Chen Beiyuan knew very well that the reason why Zhang Bai gave this roster to him was because of his two special identities. The first one is Chief Chen of Donghua Academy. In name, he is the great master of all Donghua students, and he has the power to administer and dispose of junior students. Internally, his power as the chief was second only to that of Zhang Bai, the principal. Externally, it can directly represent the entire Donghua University. This status is destined to allow him to legally dispose of everyone on the roster. However, his second identity is more important than the first. He is the young master of the Chen family of Donghua, the future head of the Chen family, military leader, and the 8th grade war emperor. As mentioned before, the Donghua Empire was a huge joint stock country. Even the Jiang family, who are members of the royal family, cannot do whatever they want. Every time the Donghua Empire expands its territory, there is one family that cannot avoid it, and that is the Chen family. After several generations of hard work, most of the military power of the Donghua Empire was concentrated in the hands of the Chen family. The children of the Chen family were spread across the empire, and most of the military officers only recognized the military orders of the Chen family. In this regard, even the Lin family cannot compare. If the Jiang family really wants to have ideas about Sakura country, they must first get the support of the Chen family. If the Chen family doesn't take the lead, they will probably be treated as a piece of waste paper if the imperial royal family's transfer orders continue. If we really want to attack Sakura country, the Chen family must lead the army. I'm afraid that the emperor of the Donghua Empire has had this idea deep in his heart for a long time. The reason why it has not been revealed is because the time is not ripe, and the old man has made a lot of noise on the border front. Laying down of the vast territory attracted everyone's attention. However, despite the great victory on the border front, due to the deliberate crowding out of the major aristocratic families, the Jiang family did not receive much benefit. Instead, it became the target of public criticism. If the old man had not spoken, the Jiang family would have almost been kicked out. Come to think of it, the emperor is probably very dissatisfied now. He is the boss, and the people below him are not of the same mind as him and are even against him. The major aristocratic families do not want to see an overly powerful royal family weighing on their heads, and the royal family is not willing to be constrained by all parties. The Jiang family has made it clear this time that they want to cooperate with the Chen family. They will first cut off the fattest piece of meat on the cherry blossom country's chopping board. When other families react, they will have to eat the rest. However, although this can bring a lot of benefits, it will also send a signal to the outside world, that is, the Chen family is beginning to move closer to the royal family. The reason why Zhang Bai didn't talk to his father directly, but wanted to communicate through me, is because I am young and easy to fool. Which young man can resist the opportunity to make contributions? Chen Beiyuan's eyes were dark, and he figured out the level in an instant. In the final analysis, it is still the fault of being young, and it is easy for others to use it as a breakthrough. Of course, he also saw the huge benefits contained in it. Sakura country contains a lot of resources and secret realms, even among the top ones in the world. If it can be swallowed, it will be of great benefit to the entire Donghua Empire. However, he did not make any arbitrary claims. Instead, he took out his young master token and transmitted the matter intact to his father, who was practicing in seclusion in the 3rd theater. Again, the person in charge of the Chen family now is his father, Chen Zhiqing, not him. He is just the young master of the Chen family. Whether you agree to this or not depends on your father's wishes. Moreover, there must be a lot of things involved in this matter, and there are many factors, and it is easy to get into trouble if you are not careful. None of those old foxes are simple. If one is not good, he can easily be used as a weapon. Seeing that there was no response from the token in his hand, Chen Beiyuan knew that his father Chen Zhiqing should still be in retreat and had not seen the news yet. Currently, my father's breakthrough to the 8th grade war emperor is the most important thing for the Chen family. All other things have to give way. Although Sakura country is good, the Chen family has already swallowed the fat meat on the border front and has not yet completely digested it, so they are not in a hurry. No matter how much territory you have, you must have enough strength to defend it. Strength is the foundation. Snapped. Chen Beiyuan closed the roster in his hand directly. His eyes were clear, and there was no trace of greed. Only by knowing how to restrain desires in time can you go further. Some things are far from as simple as imagined. Moreover, he has to master the surge of power after a realm breakthrough in the past few days. The ascension to Heaven Bureau in southern Xinjiang must continue, and he needs to pay attention to it at all times. He is bound to get that 8th grade emperor go. In the blink of an eye, another 7 days passed. For the past 7 days, Chen Beiyuan has been staying at Chen's house, never leaving the front door or taking a step forward. He concentrates on cultivation and ignores other things. Chen Zhiqing, the head of the Qin family in the Third War Zone, has also not replied, as if he is in retreat. The low profile of the Qin family and his son has undoubtedly attracted the attention of many people. Donghua University, Principal's Office. A mountain of documents is placed on the table. These documents almost record how many things the Sakura people have given away to everyone they have come into contact with during this period of time. Among them, there are even some very special existences. But Zhang Bai didn't pay any attention to it. He looked silent, crossed his hands, leaned on the chair, looked directly in the direction of the Chen family, and frowned, obviously not expecting this result. He originally thought that Chen Beiyuan, an 18-year-old young man, could not help but be moved and couldn't wait to make achievements, become famous, and leave his own legendary story. Unexpectedly, Chen Beiyuan actually showed a sophisticated side in the face of huge fame and fortune. I underestimated him. During this period of time, Lin Xiao and Ito Makoto, the third son of the Ito family, have been getting along quite warmly. Especially after Lin Xiao learned that the Ito family was truly the first family in Sakura country and controlled the arms business, his attitude became even more enthusiastic. His Blue Group has now been fully and gradually spread across the Donghua Empire, and sooner or later it will have to enter overseas markets. If we can establish a connection with the Ito family, we will definitely be able to expand the Sakura country market. Moreover, if we can cooperate with the Ito family, we will also have multiple ways of making money and many connections. Ever since, during this period of time, he has been acting as a broker, introducing Ito Makoto to some children of aristocratic families who had treated him before and charging a certain fee. It has to be said that his identity as the adopted son of the Lin family played a certain role at this moment. It was the 8th day of Chen Beiyuan's retreat at home. The old housekeeper knocked on his door and brought unexpected news. "Young master, there is a girl outside who calls herself Jingu Yukino, who wants to see you." The following plot will usher in a new climax. With the support of all readers, the plot is guaranteed to be exciting. Chapter 127, Part 1. Jingu Yukino, the most dazzling jewel of the Sakura Kingdom royal family. What is she here to do? The Chen family has no contact with the Shingu family. Could it be? Chen Beiyuan slowly opened his eyes, and a ray of dark and deep light burst out, instantly swallowing up the light in front of him. A sinister smile appeared on his stern face, as if he had guessed something. "Invite her in." Living room. Dressed in a close-fitting chrysanthemum kimono, with long snow-like hair, foggy blue eyes, a slightly petite body, an excellent figure, a childish face, and a look that resembles a snow nymph, the Sakura Kingdom royal princess, Jingu Yukino, is sitting on a chair. A pair of misty blue eyes with complex colors stared at the man in front of him without blinking. During this period of time, she has been staying at Donghua Academy, hoping to find an opportunity to encounter him by chance. As a result, for half a month, she didn't even see the ghost of the other party. What the hell? Chen Beiyuan, as a Donghua student and the head of the academy, actually doesn't go to class or even go to the academy? Jingu Yukino, who had been waiting for half a month for no reason, was momentarily confused. Later, I asked someone to inquire and found out that although Chen Beiyuan appeared to be a member of Donghua Academy, he actually came only a handful of times and practiced at home most of the time. It's like he has a name. He can come and go when he wants. No one dares to stop him. Finally, there was no other way. She could only take the initiative to come to the door. It has to be said that even as the princess of Sakura Kingdom, the moment she saw Chen Beiyuan, she couldn't help but be attracted by his stunning appearance and unique and devilish temperament. The man in front of him seemed to exude an aura that was fatally alluring to women. Especially when those dark and deep eyes stared at her, she felt like she was addicted to them. "So, Your Highness Yukino is here to be a lobbyist?" The Ito family hopes that the Chun family will return the weapons found in the ruins of Cloverfield Kingdom. Chen Beiyuan looked at Jingu Yukino in front of him with playful eyes, and an evil smile appeared on the corner of his mouth, as if he had heard something nice. As the royal family, the Jingu family has been suppressed and forcibly isolated by the Ito family in recent years. The relationship between the two parties is not said to be incompatible, but it is also similar. Is Jingu Yukino here to act as a lobbyist for the Ito family now? Just think about it, and you know it's impossible. Obviously, the other party should be using this incident as an excuse, and its purpose should be directed at him. The Sakura people spent a lot of money to win over many Donghua students at Donghua Academy, but those people put together are probably not as good as one of his fingers. As the future military leader of the Donghua Empire, his existence has almost strategic significance at the international level. Yes, Mr. Qin, but the Ito family said that if the Qin family does not want to return these weapons, it is okay. They just hope that the Qin family can open a hole in the Black Continent to allow the Sakura group to enter. Of course, this is the meaning of the head of the Ito family. Jingu Yukino directly told the original words of the Ito family head, but those foggy blue eyes were filled with a hint of disdain. Ito Jiue is obviously used to being arrogant and domineering in Sakura country. taking myself too seriously. Ha ha ha, this is the first time I have heard that the winner must return the victory prize. That old dog Ito Jiyue is getting more and more confused as he gets older. Our Chen family has not yet investigated the Ito family's involvement in the Cloverfield Kingdom. Instead, he asked me for something. The Kingdom of Clover is located in the south of the Black Continent. That area has always been the private territory of Longting Group under the Chen family, who gave him the courage to quietly put a needle in. Chen Beiyuan sneered. He hadn't even settled the score with the other party, but the other party was licking his face and asking for the trophy. Who gave him the courage? You go back and tell the Ito family. I want a satisfactory answer within 3 days. Otherwise, don't blame me, the Chen family, for being rude. Chen Jun, I will definitely convey your words to the Ito family. Seeing Chen Beiyuan's anger, Jingu Yukino's heart trembled, and at the same time, his misty blue eyes also showed a hint of joy. The Ito family's misfortune is definitely a great thing for the Jingu family. However, at this moment, she did not notice that under Chen Beiyuan's seemingly angry face, those dark and deep eyes were still calm, without the slightest disturbance. Instead, he was paying close attention to her every move. Seeing that the Ito family's plan was ruined, Kamaya Yukino planned to stand up and leave, but before leaving, she suddenly said, Chun Jun, to be honest, my brother has always admired you very much. If there is a chance, I hope that our two families can find a place to have an in-depth communication. In response, Chen Beiyuan didn't respond. As if he didn't hear it, he picked up the teacup and took a sip. Donghua Academy. When Yukino Jingu brought back the news of the failure of the negotiations, Makoto Ito, who had always been full of hope, was the first to explode. You know, this is a task assigned to him by his father. If the negotiation fails, he will definitely be scolded. Baga, damn Chen Beiyuan, you are simply bullying me too much. You robbed my Ito family's things, and you still want the Ito family to give him a satisfactory answer? This greedy Donghua man. He clearly wants to blackmail the Ito family on purpose, this bastard. Ito Cheng's face was livid, his body was shaking, and he was cursing crazily. You must know that during this period, as long as he reveals the name and background of the Ito family, most people will give him face. Now, Chen Beiyuan has seriously lost face. Ito-kun, you should report this matter to the head of the Ito family. This matter is obviously not something you can decide. Jingu Fengyuan reminded him with seemingly good intentions. All right. Although he was reluctant, in the end, Ito Makoto suppressed his irritability, called and informed his family about the matter. Trash. You can't even handle such a small thing. What's the use of you? If a descendant of the Ito family doesn't even have the ability to solve the family's troubles and only knows how to play with women all day long, then he is a waste. Himph. I'll leave this matter to your elder brother. You can do other things obediently for me. I'll settle the score with you when you come back. On the other end of the phone, Ito Makoto's father Ito Jiyue did not save any face and directly scolded his third son as a waste. In this regard, although Ito Makoto felt aggrieved, he could only endure it in the end. Yes, father. Snapped. The other end of the phone hung up. Ito Makoto's chest heaved with anger instantly. At this second, his heart was full of resentment towards his father and Chen Beiyuan. Chapter 128, Part 1. Idiot. The furious Ito Makoto finally couldn't bear it anymore when he hung up the phone and slammed the phone to the ground to vent his pent-up anger. No matter what he did, no matter whether he was right or wrong, in the eyes of that old immortal, he was a useless waste. On the contrary, he is his elder brother. No matter what he does, he is right. All because he is the eldest son. The inheritance rights of a large family in Sakura country are in the hands of the eldest son. The remaining brothers hardly get much of the family property and have to work for the eldest son. Seeing Ito Makoto's incompetent and furious expression of resentment, a trace of disdain and a sneer flashed in Jingu Fengyuan's eyes. This is a guy who bullies the weak and fears the strong, and is fierce in both voice and appearance. If it weren't for the blood of the Ito family flowing through his body, he might not even be able to compare with an ordinary person. However, if the Ito family had more of this kind of trash, it would actually be a good thing for the Jingu family. Moreover, this kind of thing can be used at critical moments. Then, with a generous and benevolent smile on his face, Fengyuan Shinggong began to step forward and comfort him. Ito-kun, getting angry won't solve the problem. Now that the head of the Ito family has taken over this matter, you have one less worry. Well, tonight, I'll let Fukada Miko and Fukada Shoko stay with you. As soon as these words came out, most of the anger on Ito Makoto's face dissipated in an instant, and his eyes unconsciously looked towards the enchanting twin sisters in the corner. He couldn't help but swallow his saliva, and felt that his whole body was getting hot. Your Highness Fengyuan, you are truly a generous prince. For a moment, other Sakura people present showed envious expressions. These twin sisters are the secret weapons cultivated by the Jingu family since childhood. They are not only proficient in various martial arts, but also have a special ability to communicate with each other and empathize with each other. During this period, many Donghua students were fascinated. It is said that many people cannot join the queue. Sakura country, Ito family. Cowardly and incompetent waste. You can't even do this little thing well. It's a waste that you still have the blood of the Ito family in your body. Ito Jiwa hung up the phone with a gloomy expression, obviously very dissatisfied with his third son, Ito Makoto. That batch of arms is important even if it is important, and it is not important even if it is not important. As long as you can successfully insert your hand into the Black Continent, even if you have to pay some benefits. But obviously, things fell apart. It was just a small thing at first, but now it is getting bigger and bigger. The Donghuachan family now wants them to give an explanation. Although the Ito family is not afraid of the Donghuachan family, there is no need to cause trouble. He looked at his proudest eldest son. Hideo, I'll leave this matter to you. Yes, father. On the tatami, the man with an unruly face and ferocious eyes showed a hint of morbid madness, showing a playful smile. This person is surprisingly the heir to the Ito family, Hideo Ito. Soul Beast Tower, 7th floor. A tall figure wearing scarlet dragon armor with an evil face punched the ground hard. Boom. When a punch fell, it was like a majestic mountain peak falling from the sky and hitting the ground hard. The terrifying impact it caused instantly formed a natural disaster and earthquake, sweeping away in all directions. The entire abandoned city ruins were instantly destroyed by the shock wave. Before the two newly born Do clones could react, they were crushed into minced meat by the thick dragon arms. Blood as hot as lava splashed on Chen Beiyuan's body, but it had no effect at all. Boom, boom, boom. A bloody afterimage instantly collided with a huge lava beast. Roar, accompanied by a desolate howl and the sound of broken bones. Even the 7th grade peak beast, the Huado, had its head twisted off by Chen Beiyuan in the most primitive and violent way after blood dragon transformation. This time, he no longer needed the assistance of the little silly dragon Anu and the troll puppet as before, but killed it alone. The flesh body comparable to the peak of the 7th grade divine weapon is indeed domineering and extraordinary. Even the difficult Huado before could not withstand the heavy fists like mountains. The peak of the 7th grade is no longer a threat to me. I just don't know if I can fight against the quasi-emperor who has initially comprehended the power of the field and can mobilize the power of heaven and earth. Chen Beiyuan felt the domineering power that continued to emerge in his body. His dark eyes gradually became ferocious and bloodthirsty, and the smile on the corner of his mouth became a little more ferocious. As the head of the school, he has the special right to enter the Soul Beast Tower twice a year. In order to verify his strength after the breakthrough, he decisively came to Donghua Academy, directly entered the Soul Beast Tower, and found the old rival Huado. After a hard fight, slaughter, he finally twisted off the ugly dog head of Huado. In this battle, he fought happily and was extremely happy. This kind of power increase is more addictive than anything else. Now he is obviously above the top prodigy of the empire and can compete with those monsters of the older generation. Of course, when fighting with Huado, he did not forget to summon Abyss to cover the 7th floor. In order to avoid Jiang Bai seeing his strength soaring so fast, some things always have to be kept in reserve. Snap! The head of Huado in his hand was directly crushed. Chen Beiyuan looked at the 8th floor with a fiery gaze, and a ferocious smile appeared on his face. I don't know if I can withstand the sword of Jiaozi with my flesh at this moment. Night falls. As expected of Jiaozi, even with only a trace of soul left, it is so terrifying. Without using the trump cards of the broken armor of Bishi, I can't block that sword at all. No wonder Jiang Bai has not been able to kill it for so many years. In its prime, it is probably one of the top beasts among the 8th grade beasts, and it may even be. Chen Beiyuan was naked in the blood pool. His white jade-like palm touched his neck, his eyes were gloomy, and his face was full of complicated feelings. The excitement of killing Huado just now also cooled down. He thought that with his terrifying body comparable to the peak of the 7th grade divine weapon after blood dragon transformation, he should be able to withstand Jiaozi's sword if he was prepared. Unfortunately, the facts were too embarrassing. He was beheaded by a blood-rusted giant sword that suddenly appeared just after he reached the 8th floor. The tough scarlet dragon scales were as fragile as tofu in front of the fierce blade. Without using those trump cards, he couldn't even withstand a sword from Jiaozi. This also made him clearly understand that there was still a long way to go between him and the top combat power in this world. If only Soul Beast Tower was mine, a treasure that could allow me to enter it continuously, hone myself, fight, and not really die would be of great use to me. Especially, I can fight against the 8th grade beasts continuously. Chen Beiyuan narrowed his eyes slightly, hiding his edge, and muttered to himself. It must be said that at this moment, he was somewhat tempted by this 8th grade magic weapon. Moreover, He knew very well that this was only one of the abilities of Soul Beast Tower. Just as he was lost in thought, a huge and majestic dragon head suddenly stretched out from the blood pool behind him, and a pair of strange dual pupils approached quietly with a playful look. Just as the little silly dragon was about to lower its head and bite a Yuan's head, it was suddenly stunned, as if it remembered something, and its eyes subconsciously looked down at the bottom of a Yuan's blood pool. Her strange dual pupils instantly revealed a wise look, and actually stopped the action, and quietly sneaked into the blood pool. Just as Chen Beiyuan was thinking about how to get the Soul Beast Tower, the 8th grade magic weapon, from the Jiang family, he suddenly trembled, his eyes widened, his fists suddenly tightened, and he took a breath of cold air. Hiss! My grades have declined a lot in the past few days. Chapter 129, Part 1. Chen Beiyuan had never imagined that a silly little dragon, could be so good at imitating. Moreover, he is so playful. Just after watching Leng Ruobing's demonstration once, I learned by myself without a teacher and learned quickly. Without noticing, he fell directly into this little bastard's trick. However, this guy may have a playful mentality. If he doesn't know the skills, he just knows that working hard can do wonders. Fortunately, his current physical body is not weaker than that of the dragon, otherwise, he would probably die today. Half an hour later, the entire blood pool began to surge crazily, setting off turbulent waves, and a large number of blood bubbles emerged. A certain little silly dragon who behaved wantonly clearly understood the principle of running away when doing bad things, so he hid directly. Call, call, call. Chen Beiyuan gasped, and his black hair wet with blood fell down to his face, sticking to his skin. The skin all over his body was red. The dragon's blood in his body was boiling, seeming empty and full. His strong body trembled unconsciously, and his eyes more gloomy. The whole person seemed to have been engaged in a life-and-death struggle with a terrifying beast. The whole body was exuding scalding heat, and his face seemed to be a little tired and relaxed. He had never been so tired before when he was fighting to the death in the Soul Beast Tower. I think that since he came to this world, he has encountered countless opponents, almost all of them swept and crushed. Even the several lucky heroines were easily manipulated. Now, I have suffered such a big loss from a little silly dragon. That's so angry. But when I think about it, this thing was raised by me. That would make you even more angry. Well, he reached out his hand and covered his forehead. What the hell did I raise? At this moment, it was difficult for him to connect the silly little dragon Anu with the legendary cruel and bloodthirsty dragon emperor who liked to kill dragon race. The contrast is too great. It's so big that it's like two dragons. Deep in the blood pool, a huge creature was lying on the ground, its thick and powerful scarlet tail swaying randomly, causing waves. Well, the little silly dragon burped and smashed her mouth. The dragon's claws caressed her full belly with a satisfied look on her face. The huge and majestic dragon head shook unconsciously, indicating that she was in a happy mood at the moment. Yuan, so, eat. Next to the blood pool, there are two mobile phones, one silver and one black. Both of these belong to Chen Beiyuan. One is for external contact with people, and the other is for internal contact with his own people. At this moment, the external silver phone suddenly lit up, and there was a strange call from Sakura Country. Chen Beiyuan put down the hand covering his face and looked at the ringing silver mobile phone and the unfamiliar Sakura Country phone number with his gloomy eyes. The fatigue and helplessness on his face instantly dissipated and turned into calm. He seemed to have known for a long time that this call would come, without the slightest surprise. As the overlord family of Sakura Country, it would be really ridiculous if the Ito family couldn't even find his contact information. Next, it depends on how many chips they have to offer in exchange for the Chen family's forgiveness. However, Chen Beiyuan did not get through directly. Instead, he exposed the other party for 3 minutes before slowly getting through, and said in a lazy voice, "Which one? Chun-jun, I am Hideo Ito, the eldest son of the Ito family. Regarding the Cloverfield Kingdom, the Ito family was indeed at fault first. We are willing to make certain compensation." Hideo Ito's slightly cold voice appeared. Obviously, the eldest son of the Ito family was very dissatisfied that Chen Beiyuan deliberately waited for 3 minutes before answering the phone slowly. In terms of personality, as the eldest son of Ito, he believes that he is not inferior to the other party in the slightest, and is even better than the other party. But the other party was so arrogant, which undoubtedly made him a little annoyed. In Sakura Country, even the heirs of big families and even the princes of the royal family need to show enough respect when they see him, for fear of offending him. But Chen Beiyuan made it clear that he didn't take him seriously. A hint of ferocious murderous intent flashed across that handsome, slightly sickly face in an instant. The cruel Ito eldest son obviously had murderous intentions. However, his own self-cultivation still allowed Hideo Ito to remain rational and not to be interfered by emotions, and continued to speak. The Ito family is willing to pay 4.5 billion to buy back the arms and weapons seized by the Chen family at half the premium. Ito Hideo, is there a straw in your brain? Can you be the heir to the Ito family with such a brain? I think you have been king of that island for too long, and your brain is not normal. You are still 40. 500 million? Do you think this is a deal? Chen Beiyuan sneered and interrupted the other party directly. Ridiculous. Billions of dollars may be a huge sum for some families, but in the eyes of a top family like the Chen family, it is not worth mentioning at all. The Longting Group under the Chen family alone is worth trillions, and it sells hundreds of billions of arms every year. The Ito family spent 4.5 billion to send beggars away. Moreover, the 4.5 billion is conditional on the repurchase of that batch of arms and weapons. Is this an apology? It's still a transaction. It's half the price premium. I'll give it to your mother. It seems that the Ito family has become the king and hegemon of the Sakura kingdom over the years, and has become accustomed to being unscrupulous. Even the Jingu family can step on them a few times and think they are invincible. Do you think anyone will spoil you? Chen Beiyuan didn't know whether others could tolerate him or not. He only knew that he had never tolerated fools. Hideo Ito, now you are the one who comes to me to ask for forgiveness, then you should set your attitude for me. Show your spirit of craftsmanship. Bow your head when you should, kneel when you should. I'm telling you a number. Please listen carefully. 10 billion, plus a 7th grade magic weapon. This is my condition. It's impossible to return that batch of arms to you. I want the money, but I don't want to give you the stuff. As for whether you agree or not, and whether you are willing or not, that is your question. Old rule, give me a reply within 3 days, otherwise, you will be responsible for the consequences. Chen Beiyuan said domineeringly. Snapped. The call was immediately hung up. Sakura Country, Ito family. Snapped. The phone was crushed. Ito Hideo's handsome and sickly face instantly became ferocious and terrifying, and he punched the table hard. Baga, you despicable Donghua man. You deserve death. You actually dare to threaten the great eldest son of Ito. When I lead the Ito family into the heart of the Donghua Empire, I will capture you alive and cut you to death with 1,000 knives. The owl's head is shown to the public. After hanging up the phone, Chen Beiyuan immediately picked up the black mobile phone and dialed his brother-in-law's number. If you don't beat the Ito family hard, I'm afraid the other party won't bow down easily. Brother-in-law, what are your orders? Staobai, call a few people from the Imperial Tribunal to get an arrest warrant and arrest a member of the Sakura Country Exchange Group named Makoto Ito on the charge of espionage. Chapter 130, Part 1. Chen Beiyuan might be more tolerant to his own people, but if it were someone from Sakura Country, he wouldn't be so polite. Some people have long forgotten the bloody accounts before, but he still remembers them clearly. Zhang Chou had no idea before, but now that you've knocked on the door, don't blame him for being rude. Some people like to reduce big things to small things, and reduce small things to small things. He doesn't like that. He likes small things to make big things happen. The bigger the better, even if it breaks the sky, he can still bear it. First, give those Sakura people from Donghua Academy a little Donghua shock. Anyone who dares to stop them will be arrested together. They will all be taken back to the cells of the tribunal. If anything happens, my brother-in-law will carry it for you. By family, I understand. Although I don't know how those stupid bastards offended you. But if they offend you, they offend me. I have to kill that turtle grandson. Just take a look. Bayuza hung up the phone. Although he didn't know how the Sakura countryman named Ito Makoto offended his brother-in-law. But it doesn't matter. The moment my brother-in-law speaks, this man will shed his skin even if he doesn't die. Without any hesitation, Bayuza directly called his third uncle, who was in charge of the Imperial Court of Justice, and started following the regular process for a descendant of an aristocratic family. Third uncle, you keep calling a few people over, and you also get 180 arrest warrants. Your nephew is going to arrest a few people? Don't worry, it's not one of your own. It's a Sakura person. That's bullshit international disputes. Am I your nephew? Okay. I'll explain it to you. My brother-in-law asked me to do it. Yes, I swear to the lamp. My brother-in-law definitely asked me to do it. If there is any lie, the ancestral graves of the 18 generations of the Bai family will be. Okay. I know you, third uncle, love me the most. I have to say that since Bayuza broke Lin Juxiao's third limb last time, this little devil in the world has become famous in Yinjing City. The Bai family also had a new understanding of this product. This time, if Chen Beiyuan's name hadn't been exposed, Bayuza might not have been able to complete the program from his third uncle and call people over. I'm afraid that if he dares to finish the phone call, his father will come with the belt. At this moment, Ito Makoto didn't know that he was about to be in disaster, and he was having a fierce fight with Lin Xiao, the son of fortune. Junlin, I heard that you are the adopted son of the head of the Lin family, and are close friends with the third young master of the Lin family. Could you please introduce me to someone? Of course, I understand the rules. This soul blood wine, can be used to strengthen your soul and strength, and it must be of some help to your subsequent cultivation. Ito Makoto put a red gourd filled with wine in front of Lin Xiao with a sincere look. During this period, wasn't the reason why he frequently made friends with Lin Xiao just to get in touch with the Donghua Lin family? On the one hand, the Lin family has considerable influence in the Donghua Empire, and being on the line is of great benefit to the Ito family. On the other hand, the Ito family has offended the Chen family, the imperial spearhead. In this case, they should make friends with the other spearhead. This is the important task assigned to him by the Ito family. Seeing a gourd of soul blood wine placed in front of him, Lin Zhao's eyes became a little more moved. There is no doubt that this item will help him to break through the 6th grade Battle King. In fact, he has done a lot of things like these bridge building things during this period. Naturally, he knew that the Ito Makoto in front of him must have some special purpose. But so what? He's not doing this alone. Others can. Why not him? As long as the benefits are in place, selling something is nothing to him. But this time the target of the matchmaking was Lin Jiuxiao, which undoubtedly made Lin Xiao hesitate. Ever since that bastard Lin Jiuxiao was cured by him, he had been coveting him. Last time, he fought tooth and nail to prevent the other party from succeeding. In the end, he just accepted a small humiliation. During this period of time, he had been staying at Donghua Academy, deliberately avoiding the other party. Now, for him to take the initiative to ask Lin Jiuxiao out, this is undoubtedly a bit of throwing himself into a trap. Although the soul blood wine in front of him was precious, it was not worth the high price he paid. This matter is not that simple. I have to think about it. By the way, Brother Ito, I lost something some time ago. Can you help me find it? Lin Xiao pushed a piece of white paper full of words in front of Ito Makoto, which clearly recorded some of the little things he had lost. 1000-year ice lotus, dark poisonous scorpion tail, white bone essence, poisonous dragon skeleton. Ito Makoto glanced at him and his face suddenly twitched. Baga, you are not a child anymore. You are such a big man. How can you throw away so many things? He is indeed a greedy guy. However, I am not afraid that you are greedy, but I am afraid that you are not greedy. The more greedy you are, the more you can be used by Sakura country. Ito Makoto smiled and put away the papers on the table, looked directly at Lin Xiao in front of him, and said boldly, "Ha ha, Mr. Lin, such a small thing is of course no problem. Tonight, I will send someone to find the things and deliver them to your residence personally. Ha ha ha, Brother Ito, you are really generous. Don't worry, this matter will be taken care of by me. I will invite Jiuxiao out for a drink tonight." Seeing Ito Makoto agree, Lin Zhao's eyes flashed with determination, and he picked up the soul blood wine in front of him and drank it all in one sip, refining it on the spot. At this moment, he is already at the peak of the 5th grade war commander, and he is only one step away from breaking through to the 6th grade war king. For Lin Xiao, as long as the benefits are in place, the necessary sacrifices are naturally bearable. Just like before, he could give Leng Ruobing to Chen Beiyuan for profit. At this moment, he can give himself to Lin Jiuxiao. Nightfall, Zueyun Pavilion, private room. Third young master Lin. I have heard about his name for a long time and have always hoped to make friends with him. Now that I have seen him with my own eyes, he is indeed extraordinary. I give you a toast. Ito Makoto picked up the wine glass, with a somewhat flattering smile on his face, and took the initiative to toast Lin Jiuxiao in front of him. Your Majesty Ito, you're welcome. In response, Lin Jiuxiao just smiled reservedly, picked up the wine glass and took a sip. His attitude was lukewarm, very bland. Ito Makoto didn't have much objection to this. After all, it was the first time they met, so he couldn't be too enthusiastic. Lin Jun, I also want to toast you. After toasting Lin Jiuxiao, Ito Chung also took the initiative to toast Lin Xiao next to him. I have to say that Lin Xiao is still very kind in his work. After getting the things, he called Lin Jiuxiao and made an appointment with him that night. And this also allowed Ito Makoto to see the hidden energy in Lin Xiao. This person is indeed not simple. For a time, in the eyes of Ito Makoto, Lin Xiao's identity and background became mysterious. Being able to easily date the third young master of the Lin family, this person's true identity must be more than just the adopted son of the Lin family. However, what he didn't know was that the reason why Lin Jiuxiao came was because Lin Xiao took the initiative to ask on the phone to spend the night outside. At this moment, under the table that he did not see, Lin Jiuxiao with a reserved look was placing his palm on Lin Zhao's thigh. Lin Zhao's expression was as usual, nothing strange at all. Tonight is destined to be a sleepless night. Chapter 131, Part 1. Those who achieve great things do not stick to trivial matters. If you want to gain something, you have to lose something. Lin Xiao, the protagonist of The Miracle Doctor, had this realization a long time ago. Without this awareness, he would have died in that mountain village at this moment. Over the years, he has sacrificed countless things to get to where he is today. Friendship, family, love. In order to prevent his ancient inheritance from being discovered, he personally killed his best friend. In order to survive, he can kneel down and kowtow to the bully who killed his father, recognize him as his godfather, and offer his mother both hands. For a better future, he can send his crush Leng Ruobing to Chen Beiyuan's bed. For more benefits and a better future, he can also allow himself to make some sacrifices. I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong. If Hong hadn't seen me practicing back then, I wouldn't have killed him. A 5 or 6-year-old kid would never be able to keep his cultivation skills in that damn thing. All he had to say was, if you say that, I will die. I will die. I have not yet accomplished cultivation. If I don't kneel down like a dog and wag my tail in front of the bully, begging for mercy, I will be killed by him. If I die, how will I avenge my father? I endured it for 8 years and finally slaughtered the bully's whole family, including the dogs. Never let go. When I first entered Donghua University, I had no one to rely on. If I didn't try my best to find a backer, even if I was extremely talented, I wouldn't have enough resources to compare with those geniuses. I was not wrong in giving Leng Ruobing to Chen Beiyuan. If you want a better future, you must make sacrifices. However, I never expected that Chen Beiyuan would be so insidious and cunning. A deadly plan. The motives of these Sakura people are not pure, but that doesn't matter. As long as they can benefit themselves, why not? Lin Zhao's face remained as usual, ignoring the big hands under the table, and calmly raised his glass to drink with Ito Makoto and Lin Jiuxiao. After repeated trials, he gradually became tolerant, gradually learned to disguise, and began to evolve into a cunning, rotten, poisonous dragon. Perhaps aware of Lin Jiuxiao's lukewarm attitude towards him, Ito Makoto, who had been toasting, suddenly changed his tone and brought the topic to Chen Beiyuan of the Chen family. I have to say that the enemy of my enemy is my friend. This wise saying is indeed correct. Sure enough, Lin Jiuxiao, who had always been lukewarm, suddenly became interested when he heard that the Ito family had a dispute with Chen Beiyuan, and even his busy left hand stopped briefly. The Ito family has a relationship with Chen Beiyuan? Chen Beiyuan is arrogant and domineering. He once humiliated the Ito family in public. How can such a narrow-minded person become the future military leader of your country? In comparison, I feel that people like Mr. Lin are the best among them. This is the future of the Donghua Empire. As soon as these words came out, Lin Jiuxiao's eyes towards Ito Makoto undoubtedly became much more pleasing to the eye, and the reserve on his face became a little less. The relationship between the two parties soon became familiar. Lin Xiao also spoke every word, calming the atmosphere at the scene and doing what a broker should do. However, what he didn't know was that there was a vague, magic thought on his shoulder at this moment, listening to the conversation between the three of them. Private room on the second floor of Yinyun Pavilion. Chen Beiyuan is having dinner with his fiancée Bai Ruowei and Leng Ruobing, who has just broken through the 4th grade. Leng Ruobing sat on his left, and Bai Ruowei sat on his right. He was sandwiched between them, one on the left and one on the right. At this moment, the atmosphere in the entire box was a little ambiguous and weird. Originally, he was the one who asked Bai Ruowei out for a meal alone, but in the end, he received a call from Leng Ruobing halfway. Originally, Chen Beiyuan didn't plan to pick it up. After all, he still had to give face to his fiancée's presence. As a result, the considerate Bai Ruowei said that it would be nice to have dinner together and get to know each other. Beiyuan, try this. Yeah, it tastes good. Seeing Chen Beiyuan and Bai Ruowei in front of them being intimate and feeding each other, Leng Ruobing's eyes were a little dazed and dim, and the hand holding the chopsticks trembled slightly. I had just successfully transferred to the 8th grade Kung Fu, Desolate Gu Sutra, and successfully passed through the 4th grade. The joy of gathering my fighting spirit disappeared in an instant, and the sourness in my heart began to surge crazily. Especially when she saw Chen Beiyuan looking at Bai Ruowei with a gentle smile on his face, her body trembled. At this moment, she was a little jealous and a little overwhelmed. She knew very well that the woman in front of her was Chen Beiyuan's fiancée. But to Chen Beiyuan, she is an unidentified woman. No matter from her family background or from all aspects, she was easily crushed by Bai Ruowei. This is really a kind of natural suppression. It made her feel like a mistress meeting her real wife. Senior Ruobing, why don't you use your chopsticks? Yinyun Pavilion's food is one of the best in Yinjing City. Try it. It tastes good. By the way, I have to thank you for your help in taking care of me during my absence in Yinjing. My home is Beiyuan. Bai Ruowei suddenly looked at Leng Ruobing, who had not moved her chopsticks. Her beautiful face had a gentle smile and an inexplicable affinity, which made people subconsciously feel good about her. Senior Bai, you're welcome. There was something strange on Leng Ruobing's face, and he responded with a forced smile. Chen Beiyuan took in all the reactions of the two of them, with a hint of amusement in his eyes. Bai Ruowei was clearly declaring her status as the main palace and beating Leng Ruobing. Leng Ruobing obviously understood the meaning. I have to say that among all the luck heroines, Bai Ruowei may have the biggest pattern. Almost all the other luck heroines have some abnormal, overbearing desire to possess him alone. Bai Ruowei, on the other hand, is more tolerant in this regard. As long as Chen Beiyuan is still hers and she is still big, other problems can be tolerated. If Jiang Yunhua expressed her willingness to be small and not threaten her status, she could even calmly watch the two of them go to the room and then quietly touch the crack in the door. However, compared to the internal fighting between the two lucky heroines, at this moment, Chen Beiyuan was more concerned about the conversation in the box where Lin Xiao and the others were sitting, and the drama that was about to happen next. Xiaobai has already led his people here. Lin Xiao, you are really tolerant, but I look down on you a little. In addition to having great talent in giving gifts to girls, he also has great potential in giving gifts to himself. If I hadn't left a trace of demonic thoughts in your body, I'm afraid I wouldn't have known about this thing that can easily cause needle eyes. TSK. The protagonist of A Good Miracle Doctor actually got involved with a man. This kind of thing is also an explosive plot in urban novels. Just when Chen Beiyuan was lost in thought, Bai Ruowei suddenly said that she wanted to go to the bathroom, so she got up and walked towards the bathroom in the box. Seeing Bai Ruowei getting up to go to the bathroom, Leng Ruobing was silent for a long time. He looked at the bathroom and then at Chen Beiyuan, who was lost in thought in front of him. He suddenly loosened his clenched fists and made a bold move. She actually sneaked under the dining table. Chapter 132, Part 1. It has to be said that women have a strong desire for revenge. Even if Leng Ruobing knew that she couldn't beat Bai Ruowei, how could she bow her head so easily? She also had a little pride of her own. And the simplest and most direct way for a woman to take revenge on another woman is to retaliate against her man. Revenge fiercely. Use this indirect revenge as a counterattack. Chen Beiyuan, who was thinking about things, suddenly changed his eyes slightly. Obviously, he didn't expect Leng Ruobing to be so bold. This is clearly a direct provocation. Hiss. Deep in his soul, the silly little dragon Anu was sleeping soundly, digesting the dragon blood Dao fruit and North Abyss essence. In his body, these two treasures, containing terrifying life energy. The former is the dragon race treasure that allows dragon race cubs to grow quickly. Although the life energy of the latter is not as huge as that of dragon blood Dao fruit, it can be used to satisfy the hunger and produce qualitative changes from quantity. Under the nourishment of the two treasures, the already huge dragon body of the silly little dragon Anu began to grow rapidly again, and now it is close to 64 feet, about 213.33 meters. This body size is also an exaggerated existence in the dragon race. Most adult dragon races do not have such a huge dragon body, but the silly little dragon Anu has been less than 4 months since birth, a pure baby dragon. Suddenly, the sleeping little silly dragon seemed to notice something strange, and her eyelids opened a little and glanced. Just one glance, she exploded instantly. Someone is actually stealing her food. Isn't this going to kill her? Ah, Yuan, see, death. The angry little silly dragon roared angrily and immediately gave up sleeping, ready to rush out of the depths of her soul and bring the daring thief to justice. Fortunately, Chen Beiyuan reacted in time and trapped him in the soul space. Otherwise, with the character of this little silly dragon, he might tear Leng Ruobing to pieces. Bad. Yuan. The little silly dragon Anu, who was trapped in the depths of the soul and unable to get out, was immediately angry and screamed. At this moment, Leng Ruobing, who was busy, had no idea that she had walked through the gates of hell. If Chen Beiyuan hadn't stopped her, she would have been miserable. Just then, the door of the bathroom opened, and Bai Ruowei came out holding the snow-white fox. But when she saw that only Chen Beiyuan was left in the box, she was stunned. Beiyuan, where is Ruobing? There's something going on at the Long group. She has to go back to deal with it. We'll eat ours. Chen Beiyuan looked normal and made up a reason casually. Now Leng Ruobing is the only one left in the Long family. The others are either lying in bed like vegetatives or making achievements on the front line. It can be said that Leng Ruobing is now the head of the Long family, the chairman of the Long group and other positions. Sometimes, it is really busy. Bai Ruowei frowned slightly, feeling a little strange, but she didn't think too much about it, so she sat back in her original position with the snow-white fox in her arms. Just as she was about to start eating, she keenly noticed a strange sound under the table. That strange sound was a bit like saliva dripping on the ground. Her pupils trembled, as if she understood something. She glanced down from the corner of her eyes and immediately saw a snow-white skirt. Swish! The hem of the snow-white skirt was taken back. Bai Ruowei's pupils shrank, and she understood everything instantly. She subconsciously looked at Chen Beiyuan next to her. He happened to be holding a piece of green bamboo shoot and handed it to her mouth. The tenderest bamboo buds at the top of 5th grade fierce beast, emerald bamboo demon, are the most delicious, soft, and sweet. They have beauty and beautifying effects on women. Try it. Good. Facing Chen Beiyuan's gentle smile and intimate feeding, Bai Ruowei instantly forgot all the strange things just now, opened her red lips lightly, bit the soft bamboo bud, and savored it carefully. Those tender and charming eyes looking at Chen Beiyuan gradually gained a bit of maternal brilliance. As a child, it can be forgiven for being a little playful. It has to be said that Bai Ruowei's degree of doting for Chen Beiyuan is almost overwhelming. She could pretend she didn't know some things. While the two were feeding each other, the snow-white fox in Bai Ruowei's arms followed the source of the sound, curiously lowered his head and glanced under the dining table. In an instant, the female fox's eyes widened in disbelief, and she quickly pulled Bai Ruowei's clothes to remind her. Master, look at her. How good and bad she is. However, Bai Ruowei turned a blind eye to the warning from the snow-white fox and just kept eating with Chen Beiyuan, feeding each other, and the two of them were almost touching. In an instant, the only sounds left in the entire box were the sounds of 3 people eating and the squeaking of a certain little fox. Suddenly, Chen Beiyuan stopped his chopsticks, looked at the commotion below with a playful look, and a strange curve formed at the corner of his mouth. The fun finally begins. Box number 3 in Tianzi. After 3 rounds of drinking, the faces of Lin Jiuxiao, Lin Xiao, and Ito Makoto, who were changing glasses, gradually became more drunk, and the atmosphere between the 3 gradually became heated. At this moment, Ito Makoto also spoke appropriately. Third young master, I have specially prepared a pair of twin sisters from the Sakura country for you tonight. Their skills have been specially trained and I guarantee your satisfaction. Ha ha ha, thank you Mr. Ito for your kindness. Let's forget it tonight. I have another invitation from a beautiful woman. I won't go. Lin Jiuxiao laughed and declined, but glanced at Lin Xiao next to him with a fiery gaze that almost swallowed him up. Even though Lin Xiao was mentally prepared, his hair stood on end and his skin crawled. However, on the surface, he remained calm, without showing any sign of it. Damn double plug. Sooner or later, I will make you pay the price. That's such a pity. I don't know which beauty is so lucky to be able to spend the night with the third young master tonight. A trace of regret flashed across Ito Makoto's face, and it was obviously a pity that he could not drag Lin Jiuxiao into the water at once. If the Fukada sisters can seduce the third young master of the Lin family, the next things will undoubtedly be much simpler. However, at this moment, he didn't know what he said. It was obvious that some pots were not opened, which directly offended Lin Xiao, who was smiling hypocritically, because Lin Xiao is the lucky beauty in his mouth. Ha ha ha, Mr. Ito, I can't tell you who that beauty is. Okay, it's almost time to eat. It's time to say goodbye. If there is a chance, we can meet again. Bang. Just as the meal was being prepared, the door to Tianzi number 3 box was suddenly kicked open from the outside. Several figures in law enforcement uniforms rushed in, and their eyes instantly locked on Ito Makoto. Ito Makoto, someone reported that you are a spy sent by the Sakura Kingdom. Now, you are suspected of endangering the security of the Donghua Empire and are seriously suspected of stealing imperial secrets. Come with us. Chapter 133, Part 1. Sakura Country Spy. Endangering the security of the Donghua Empire. Steal the secrets of the Donghua Empire. The big hats were buckled one by one, and the 3 people in the Tianzi number 3 box suddenly changed dramatically. This is a life-threatening crime. Ito Makoto's slightly drunken face froze for a moment, and he felt as if a bucket of biting ice water was being poured down from his head. A trace of fear flashed in his eyes, and even his heartbeat was frightened by this sudden scene and stopped for a beat. He never thought that what he did would be discovered by others. But how could you admit such a thing? I can't admit it even to death? It must be bitten to death. Baga, you are talking nonsense. I am an envoy from the Sakura Kingdom who came to the Donghua Empire for exchanges. I am the 3rd son of the Ito family and an earl and noble of the Sakura Kingdom. How can you slander me like this? Is this the attitude of your Donghua Empire as a guest? Furthermore, I am a citizen of the Sakura Kingdom. The laws of the Donghua Empire cannot control me. Only the royal family of the Sakura Kingdom can judge and sanction me. I want to contact the Sakura Country Exchange Group at Donghua Academy. I want to contact His Highness Fengyuan Jiangu and ask him to come forward to report to the royal family of your country. You are trying to destroy the long-standing friendship between the Donghua Empire and the Sakura country. At this time, you must not panic. You must save yourself first. Although Ito Makoto is a bit of a loser, he is still the 3rd son of the Ito family. He has received education from the family since he was a child, and he still has good psychological quality. At this moment, he took out his mobile phone without hesitation and was ready to make a call and pass the message on first. However, he obviously overestimated his status. Several law enforcement officers from the trial court obviously did not tolerate him. Snapped, a tall law enforcement officer slapped his cell phone away, then grabbed him with his backhand, violently pressed his head on the dining table, cut his hands behind his back, and directly handcuffed him with a special cuff, specially designed for practitioners. Be bold. This is the Donghua Empire, not your so-called Sakura Kingdom. Stop using your bullshit noble status to suppress me. The laws of the Donghua Empire can't control you? Who are you? Idiot. Ito Makoto was pressed down on the dining table, and the leftovers from his meal instantly covered his face, making his handsome face look very embarrassed. Before he could curse angrily, his ferocious face was hit hard by an elbow. There was a bang sound, and several teeth and rust-smelling blood instantly spattered out. Woo woo woo, Mr. Lin, please save me. Ito Makoto quickly looked at Lin Xiao for help. His eyes were both pleading and threatening. I saw Ito Makoto being pushed to the ground by several law enforcement officers from the tribunal. A trace of uneasiness flashed across Lin Xiao's face at this moment, and he clenched his fists subconsciously. Not to mention whether there is anything wrong with Makoto Ito, or whether he is a spy. He had collected a lot of things from the other party before. This kind of thing can easily involve him. Damn it, I took so many things from Ito Makoto before. If this mad dog bites people, it will be in trouble. How about suddenly taking action and killing Ito Makoto directly without any evidence? At that time, I will only know the person unknown. With the identity of the adopted son of the Lin family, there won't be too many. Snapped. Just when Lin Xiao felt a little uneasy and was about to take action, he was suddenly tapped on the shoulder. Lin Jiuxiao shook her head at him expressionlessly and looked forward. Lin Xiao was stunned, followed his gaze, and his eyes changed suddenly. In the box, several black-clothed law enforcers with vague auras appeared at some point, their eyes fixed on him. As long as he made any move, he would probably be met with devastating counterattacks in an instant. There is a special team called Black and White Impermanence within the Imperial Court of Justice, which is specially used to deal with heinous targets. This team consists of one white and one black, with the former responsible for arresting and the latter responsible for killing. Lin Xiao, you are from my Lin family. As long as I am here, no one can touch you. Whoever dares to frame, you will be at odds with my Lin family and Lin Jiuxiao. Lin Jiuxiao's eyes were cold, with a hint of warning, scanning all the black and white impermanence of the trial court in the entire box. Obviously, he was speaking to these people. As for Makoto Ito, who was pinned to the ground, Lin Jiuxiao didn't even look at it. Lin Zhao's eyes were shocked, looking at the domineering Lin Jiuxiao in front of him, as if he was meeting him for the first time. For some reason, he felt inexplicably at ease at this moment. It seems that Lin Jiuxiao must have guessed that I collected Ito Makoto's things, so he specifically warned the people of the tribunal. As long as the third young master of the Lin family is willing to come forward, none of my problems will be a big deal. Who would believe what this mad dog Makoto Ito says? Lin Xiao was secretly relaxing at this moment, and at the same time, his heart felt a little more complicated about the third young master of the Lin family. After his godfather Qian Beizong, this was the second person who had good intentions towards him and was willing to block trouble for him at critical moments. However, at this moment, he did not realize that his fleeting complex thoughts were detected by a trace of evil thoughts on his shoulder. Interestingly, Lin Xiao, the son of fortune, actually had a crush on Lin Jiuxiao for a moment. If my demonic thoughts weren't the most sensitive to changes in people's hearts, I might not even be able to detect it. Tisk, TSK, TSK. These best friends in the original work seem to be leaning in certain directions. If that's the case, then why don't you give it a try? I like the beauty of adults the most. Catching one is also catching two is also catching, Lin Xiao. I want to see how far Lin Jiuxiao can do it for you. I hope you won't disappoint me. A wicked smile appeared at the corner of Chen Beiyuan's mouth, and he thrust his left hand hard under the table. Ignoring his fierce struggle, he forcefully hugged Bai Ruowei next to him with his right hand. The deep and cold eyes seemed to have penetrated all the constraints and saw the scene in the Tianzi No. 3 box. The fun has just begun. Just when the atmosphere in the Tianzi No. 3 box cooled down, a figure with an unruly face also walked in with a group of people and directly blocked the exit. The leader was none other than Bai Yuza. Lin Laosan, you are so majestic. Those who don't know better think that the Lin family has replaced you as the heir. If you want to protect people, you can protect them. The laws of the empire are made by your family? I tell you, Lin Xiao must come with us today. Someone reported that Lin Xiao took bribes from Ito Makoto, betrayed the interests of the empire, and sought personal gain. He must come back with us today to be investigated. I'm feeling a little unwell today, and I originally planned to ask for leave, but I forgot about it and just coded. Chapter 134, Part 1. Bang. Bai Yuza, don't lie in front of me. If you say someone reports it, someone will report it. I even said someone deliberately framed me. You just want to arrest members of my Lin family with your empty words. Who gave you the confidence? If you have the ability, call the person who reported the report to me and let him come out to confront Lin Xiao. I want to see who he is. As the saying goes, enemies are extremely jealous when they meet. When Lin Jiuxiao saw Bai Yuza appear, his sinister face instantly turned ferocious, and he slapped the table hard, making a huge dent. He is still very aware of the previous revenge of Broken Bird. Regardless of whether other aristocratic families were involved in that matter, Bai Yuza's shot was a real hit. If it weren't for Lin Zhao's superb medical skills, he would really be a eunuch now. Such a great hatred. He will never forget it even if he is beaten to death. This is why the Lin family asked him not to cause trouble easily, otherwise, he would have found an opportunity to take revenge and go back. Now, Beiyuan wants to mess with his people. How could he agree? Lin Zhuxiao, the tribunal has the rules of the tribunal. How can the whistleblower's information be easily leaked? Since I dare to arrest people, I naturally have evidence. Just now, my people found a lot of valuable materials at Lin Zhao's residence. Some people saw with their own eyes that people under Makoto Ito personally delivered them. These photos were taken at the scene. Beiyuan sneered and took out a stack of photos and threw them directly in front of Lin Zhuxiao, obviously very well prepared. Just now, he took people directly to Donghua University and raided Lin Zhao's residence to get the evidence first. Damn it. Seeing the photos on the table, Lin Zhao's eyes suddenly changed, and his face became gloomy. In the photo, his residence was almost turned over and everything was piled up, many of which were sent by Ito Makoto. He finally understood that this was clearly a game against him. Every move he made before was monitored. Almost immediately, a person's name appeared in Lin Zhao's mind. Chen Beiyuan. Only the other party could use such decisive and vicious methods. Boom! Lin Zhuxiao didn't even look at the photos on the table. He flipped the table over on the spot, and the rest of the food and the thick stack of photos fell heavily to the ground. That sinister face stared at Beiyuan. Beiyuan, you want to arrest someone just based on a few bullshit photos? If you take a few photos, you can be accused of collaborating with the enemy and the country. When you and I are in our status, don't deal with those lies. Take it away, Ito Makoto. If you don't stop me, as for Lin Zhao, you can't take him away today. I want to see who dares to take action. Can your Bai family withstand the anger of my Lin family? As soon as these words came out, the faces of the law enforcement officers in black and white uniforms in the trial court changed. Lin Zhuxiao made it clear that he wanted to protect Lin Zhao with death. However, Beiyuan's expression did not change at all, as if he had already expected it. His status is not much different from that of Lin Zhuxiao. They are both at the same level. Naturally, it is impossible for the other party to give him face. However, I hope you can continue to be so tough in the future. Cough. Cough. A clear cough suddenly appeared, breaking the deadlock at the scene. Boom. Lin Zhuxiao's ferocious and terrifying expression suddenly changed, and he felt like thunder was resounding in his mind. The almost nightmarish figure suddenly appeared in his mind. Chen Beiyuan. When he was at the Empire Club, if his eldest brother hadn't appeared, he would have been beaten to death on the spot. In an instant, the fear of death surged into his heart again, wearing away his courage little by little. He opened his mouth, wanting to say something, but all he felt was that his throat was dry and he couldn't even say a word. He and Beiyuan should face each other head-on, but he didn't dare to confront Chen Beiyuan head-on. Even his elder brother suffered a big loss at the hands of this monster. Zhuxiao, let me go with them. After Lin Zhao heard the cough that broke the deadlock, he knew that Lin Zhuxiao couldn't protect him. Chen Beiyuan is obviously not something Lin Zhuxiao can compete with. If Chen Beiyuan hadn't been there, he might have chosen to run away on the spot and hide for a while. But obviously, this is impossible. In this case, it might as well be decent. He knew very well that Lin Zhuxiao would definitely save him. Ito Makoto still wanted to struggle, but received another elbow and was knocked unconscious instantly. Lin Zhuxiao watched helplessly as Lin Zhao silently stepped forward and was handcuffed, and was dragged away together with the unconscious Ito Makoto. He felt a cramp in his heart, his fists were clenched tightly, and his fingertips penetrated deeply into the flesh. Tick-tock, tick-tock. Scarlet blood dripped onto the ground, splattering into blood flowers. Box number 1. Cough, 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 cough. A violent coughing sound emerged from under the table, but Chen Beiyuan and Bai Ruowei looked as usual, as if they hadn't heard anything. On the contrary, the snow-white fox couldn't help its curiosity and quietly lay down to take a peek. Are you planning to take action against the Ito family? Bai Ruowei sniffed and seemed to smell some special smell. A blush suddenly appeared on her face, and she looked straight at Chen Beiyuan in front of her. This Bai family prodigy obviously knows something. After all, when Chen Beiyuan left the matter to his brother-in-law Beiyuan, he naturally didn't expect to be able to hide it from his fiancée. As for Lin Zhao, in Bai Ruowei's eyes, he was just an unlucky guy who was picked up by the way. They stretched their hands too far, so naturally they need to be taught a lesson. Chen Beiyuan smiled and nodded without denying it. Do you need any help from the Bai family? Although they haven't gotten married yet, Bai Ruowei has obviously regarded Chen Beiyuan as her husband, without any hesitation. If possible, I hope that the Bai family will come forward to conduct a comprehensive inspection of all Sakura national industries across the empire to the highest standards and eliminate some cancers. Chen Beiyuan also directly stated his purpose without any politeness. Not only does he want to kill the Ito family, We also need to deal with all the Sakura Kingdom's industries in the Donghua Empire. Give the people of Sakura country a hard knock. He knew very well that the Bai family had this ability. The major families within the Donghua Empire are also divided into 3, 6, and 9 levels. In an ordinary family, there is only one powerful quasi-emperor, who has great influence on a region. A medium-sized family has an 8th grade war emperor who suppresses luck, has great influence in many regions, and can initially interfere in the empire's decision-making. The top aristocratic families not only have the 8th grade war emperor to suppress luck, but also have their own fiefdoms. They have terrifying influence and can directly interfere with the empire's decision-making. They also control certain aspects of the empire. For example, the Chen family controls most of the empire's military power. The power held by the Bai family, a top family, is the law of the empire. In the most popular terms, the final interpretation of all laws in the Donghua Empire rests with the Bai family. Chapter 135, Part 1. This is why Bai Yuza can always easily mobilize people from the tribunal to arrest people, because this is one of the powers and authority that belongs to the Bai family. Say you have a problem, you have a problem. If you say you broke the law, then you are breaking the law. Steaming, you don't have a prop? The power of the Bai family may be lacking compared to the top aristocratic families at the same level, and it is not as powerful as the Chen family, but for the top aristocratic families below, it is definitely a king-level existence. With just one sentence, he could forcibly order the Sakura national industries in various parts of the empire to experience the feeling of being beaten with an iron fist. In a matter of minutes, those people from Sakura country will know what it is like to feel like dying. At that time, we will be able to harvest these cherry blossom national industries and squeeze out a lot of oil and water. Since ancient times, there have been hidden rules for merchants to harvest. If you engage your own people, it may easily lead to some gossip. But if it involves outsiders, countless people will definitely applaud. Although many aristocratic families in the Donghua Empire like to raise pigs for harvesting. But Chen Beiyuan is not very interested. He prefers to deal with outsiders than with his own people. It doesn't matter if you are in trouble at home. It is the last word to be unreasonable when you go out. In addition to the Bai family, Chen Beiyuan also plans to let the Longting group attack the Edo family's arms business overseas and teach them a profound lesson. Okay, I will let the Bai family cooperate with you. Bai Ruobing agreed directly without hesitation. If it were anyone else, she might still hesitate and consider the pros and cons, but since it was her future husband who spoke, she would not refuse. In a sense, she has the character of a husband-slayer demon. Bai Yuza's character of helping managers but not relatives, helping his brother-in-law but not his own people, is largely due to her influence. Do I need someone to attack Sakura country's overseas industries? The Bai family also supports some armed forces and subordinates overseas. There are people from the Bai family even inside Sakura country. Not for the time being. If you use too much of the Bai family's power because of me, it will easily arouse criticism and it will not be good for you. Chen Beiyuan shook his head and rejected Bai Ruobing's proposal. He and Bai Ruobing are not married yet, so some things are still inconvenient. Moreover, the Bai family is the Bai family, and the Chen family is the Chen family. Some things must be clearly distinguished, otherwise, there will always be people who like to gossip. Sometimes, when matters related to interests are involved, brothers have to fall out. Not every aristocratic family is as harmonious as the Chen family and values family ties more than interests. I will take care of matters overseas personally, Chen Beiyuan said with cold eyes. The reason why he went to war and killed so violently was not just because the Edo family had offended the Chen family. It was even more because of the profound blood feud. In the original work, after the Chen family was almost annihilated, the Donghua Empire's military power suffered unprecedented heavy losses. The entire northern border was lost, invaded by ferocious alien beasts, and a large area of territory was lost. The overall strength of the Donghua Empire has almost fallen into a downturn. Even if the Lin family successfully ascends to power and becomes the leader of the imperial military, it will be of no avail. Because at that time, the Lin family was also competing with the Chen family, and its strength was greatly reduced, and was eventually controlled by Lin Xiao. At that time, the ambitious wolf of Sakura country chose to invade without hesitation, intending to devour the elephant from the python. Many Donghua people died at the hands of the Sakura people, and many places were forcibly occupied. In the midst of civil strife, the Donghua Empire, which was busy dealing with the ferocious beasts and alien races in the north, could hardly spare its hands to deal with the Sakura kingdom. At the critical moment, Lin Xiao, as the son of fortune, stepped forward and went to the Sakura country alone to negotiate with them. In the end, he signed multiple contracts through verbal battles with the Confucians in exchange for the cherry blossom country to stop invading. This news caused an uproar within the Donghua Empire at that time, and many people regarded Lin Xiao as a hero who saved the world. However, when the truce contract signed by Lin Xiao came out, everyone exploded. As the price of the armistice, All the territory and sea areas previously occupied by Sakura country were owned by Sakura country. Yes, you heard it right. As the son of fortune, Lin Zhao's method is to cede territory and seek peace. This little bastard cut the ground. You know, the Lin family, as the leader of the imperial military at that time, was in the hands of Lin Zhao. As the barrel of a gun of the empire, instead of seeking war, he seeks peace. What's even more scolding is that Lin Zhao, the son of fortune, still thinks that his behavior is right. At that time, Lin Zhao was scolded by many people within the Donghua Empire for his traitorous behavior. However, in the Sakura country, he was called Saint, and a special statue was used to worship him. As the overlord of the Sakura kingdom, the Ito family betrothed 7 of their daughters to him as concubines. In this regard, Lin Zhao did not refuse and accepted it directly, saying that this was a necessary sacrifice to promote the friendship between the two countries. After that, other overseas countries also wanted to get involved, and it was Lin Zhao, the son of fortune, who came forward to cede territory and seek peace. To this end, he also harvested beauties and terrifying resources from all over the world. He really dared to exchange the interests of the Donghua Empire for his own interests. On the contrary, in the end, because the Chen family was annihilated and became a lost dog, the original Destiny villain, who had been hunted by all parties, after being promoted to 9th grade god of war, directly used the blaster of overseas countries, first destroying the Sakura kingdom, and then destroyed many countries and took back the territory of the Donghua Empire bit by bit. The mess left by Lin Zhao, the son of fortune, was actually left to him, the destined villain, to clean up the mess. This is really disgusting. This time, Chen Beiyuan was determined to deal with those Sakura people who were used to being arrogant and Lin Zhao, the son of fortune, and let them know what it means to live worse than death. You like invasion, right? You like to betray your country, right? Okay, let's play slowly. Ruobing, let me take you back first. After Chen Beiyuan had eaten and drank enough and watched the show, he had no intention of staying and was ready to leave. Good. Ruobing nodded, bent down to pick up the snow-white fox, put a pack of tissues on the table, stood up, followed Chen Beiyuan, and left side by side. After the two people left the room, Leng Ruobing, who was covered in white frost, came out from under the table and watched through the window as the two people held hands and got into the car, with a hint of loneliness in their eyes. She heard clearly the conversation between the two just now. She thought she could compare with Ruobing through hard work, but the reality gave her a cruel blow. Compared with Ruobing's ability to give Chen Beiyuan enough support and strength at critical moments, there is really too little she can do. Ultimately, she was not on the same level as the two of them. She was too weak to provide her own strength when Chen Beiyuan needed help. After a long silence, she picked up the pack of tissues on the table and went to the bathroom to wash it before slowly leaving Yinyun Pavilion. Finally, everyone left. After Chen Beiyuan and others left, the entire dead Yinyun Pavilion became full of life again. The diners in the private rooms and the boss who had been hiding finally breathed a sigh of relief. A small conflict between these high-ranking figures is, to them, no less than a battle between gods. If one is not good, it will bring disaster to the fish in the pond. Chapter 136, Part 1. Nanny? Ito Kuan was arrested by the Donghua Empire Tribunal for espionage? How is this possible? Ito Kuan is a noble of our Sakura kingdom. How could he be a spy? There is definitely a misunderstanding. I believe Ito Kuan is innocent. The Donghua Empire must have made a mistake. I will get in touch with the Sakura kingdom as soon as possible and let the Sakura kingdom royal family communicate with the Donghua Empire's royal family. Junyun, thank you so much this time. If you hadn't rushed to tell me, I would still be in the dark. If you accept this, you will always be a good friend of Sakura country. Shingong Fengyuan looked at a Donghua student, who hurriedly came to report with a look of astonishment. He seemed a little unbelievable. He soon recovered as before, took off a jade pendant from his waist, and stuffed it into his hand as a gift to express his gratitude. Yun Mandrill originally planned to shirk it, but after seeing the powerful aura emanating from the jade pendant, his eyes immediately straightened, and he subconsciously took it, exclaiming in his heart that he had made a lot of money, and a flattering smile appeared on his face. Your Highness Fengyuan, you're welcome. I also believe that Ito Makoto is definitely not a spy. There must be someone playing tricks on him. You'd better contact the above, and try to clear up the misunderstanding. I have something else to do, so I won't disturb you anymore. I'll take my leave now. Junyun, let me see you off. Until Yun Mandrill is sent away, the hypocritical smile on Jingu Fengyuan's face instantly dissipated, becoming extremely gloomy, and there was a trace of uncontrollable fear deep in his eyes. Damn it, if it weren't for some Eastern Chinese people coming to tip off the news, he was afraid that he didn't even know about Ito Makoto's arrest. Has their plan been exposed? That idiot Ito Makoto. What on earth did that idiot do? No, we must evacuate the Donghua Empire as soon as possible. If we stay here longer, it will be more dangerous. regardless of whether Ito Makoto is exposed or not. Once they are tortured by the Donghua people, they may be exposed. Jingu Fengyuan quickly found his sister Jingu Yukino and prepared to evacuate through special channels. As for the other exchange students from Sakura country, naturally, he stayed in the Donghua Empire to use smoke bombs to cover their departure. But just when Jingu Fengyuan was about to contact the Jingu family's hidden stake in the Donghua Empire to cover their brother and sister's departure, he was stopped by Jingu Yukino. The princess of Sakura Kingdom, who looked like a snow girl, still maintained her rationality at this moment. There was a ripple in her misty blue eyes, and she had obviously guessed something. Brother Fengyuan, maybe things haven't gotten that bad yet. Have you forgotten the previous grudge between the Ito family and Chen Jun? Not long after this incident, Ito Makoto was arrested by the Donghua Empire Tribunal for espionage. Yes, isn't it too much of a coincidence? Yukiono, are you saying that Chen Jun is behind this matter to take revenge on the Ito family? By the way, the Bai family is behind the Imperial Court of Justice. The Bai family and the Chen family. Jingu Fengyuan's expression changed slightly, as if he had figured out the level. The anxiety on his face gradually calmed down, and he murmured to himself. It has to be said that he was obviously frightened by the sudden bad news just now, so he couldn't react for a while. Now, after Yukino's reminder, he reacted instantly and his IQ regained its high ground. Brother Fengyuan, please report this matter and let father negotiate and communicate with the Ito family. This matter was caused by the Ito family, so they will naturally be held responsible. The people of Donghua must still not know our purpose. All this is controlled by Chen Jun, who wants to take revenge on the Ito family. If we run away at this time, we will mess up our position and be really exposed. When the time comes, the Ito family will also shirk all responsibilities on us. Jingu Yukino looked at the panicked brother in front of him with a cold expression. A hint of contempt flashed through his misty blue eyes, and he soon returned to being cold and calm. Jingu Fengyuan obviously didn't understand his sister's fleeting contempt. He cheered himself up, tried to calm down, and said in agreement, Yukino, you were right. We should report this to the Ito family and ask my father to give an explanation to the Ito family. Those idiots from the Ito family deserve to die. Imperial Inquisition, Black Prison. The dark, damp, rotten and stinky cells housed strange figures, including humans, aliens, and ferocious beasts. This is a prison cell in the Donghua Empire dedicated to imprisoning the most heinous and vicious criminals, most of whom are strong men above 5th grade. It is said that deep in the dark prison, there is a foreign king comparable to the 8th grade war emperor. Once you are imprisoned in this place, it can almost be said that you have half stepped into the gate of hell. As for whether he can get out, it depends on whether the king of Yama, of the Bai family, is willing to let him go. Ito Makoto and Lin Xiao, who were handcuffed and leg-cuffed, were also forcibly brought here by the black and white judge of the tribunal. Baga, you can't treat me like this. I am the 3rd son of the Ito family. The Ito family has trade relations with many aristocratic families in the Donghua Empire. My grandfather Ito Ryu once asked to marry a branch of the Ji family. Princess, I also have part of the blood of the Donghua royal family in my body. Ito Makoto had obviously heard of the reputation of the dark prison and was almost frightened out of his mind. His slightly thin body struggled wildly and he shouted in panic. However, the black and white judges, who were responsible for escorting him around, did not pay any attention to him and turned a deaf ear. Lin Xiao, who was also being escorted, glanced at Makoto Ito in surprise, obviously not expecting that the Ito family was so secretive. However, most of those top forces are related to each other, which is normal. But the Jiang family has many bloodlines, and if you really want to talk about it, a prince's daughter is nothing. Since Chen Beiyuan dared to take action, he obviously didn't take the Ito family seriously. At this moment, Lin Xiao also calmed down, and his thoughts were extremely clear. With my weight, I shouldn't be able to mobilize forces like this. The person Chen Beiyuan really needs to deal with should be Ito Makoto. No, it should be the family behind Ito Makoto. I suffered an unreasonable disaster and was dealt with by the way. However, although I accepted a lot of things from Ito Makoto, I didn't reveal too much information. I just helped introduce some people to me. The crime will not lead to death. Besides, Lin Jiuxiao is here. He will definitely save me. I definitely can't die. Moreover, I'm not the only one collecting things. There are too many people involved. I have a list of those people and secretly handed them over to Chiu Shuame of the Weilong Group in the Magic City. At critical moments, they can be used to save lives. Those who took them people with evil intentions must come forward to protect me. It has to be said that Lin Xiao, the son of fortune, still has quite a few tricks up his sleeve. Even in a dangerous situation, he still had a backup plan and did not pin all his hopes on Lin Jiuxiao. However, the only thing he didn't expect was that the female president of Weilong Group, Chiu Shuame, whom he relied on, had long been in the form of Chen Beiyuan. Chapter 137, Part 1. Interesting. As expected of Son of Fortune, he secretly made a list of all the people in Donghua Academy who had collected things from the Sakura Kingdom and hid them. Although it was not as big as the list sent by the Jiang family. In detail, it's close to 70%. It seems that you anticipated what might happen when you collected Ito Makoto's things and prepared backup plans in advance. If your every move hadn't been monitored by my demonic thoughts, and if Chiu Shuame, the president of Weilong Group whom you trust most, was mine, I would have almost been able to make a comeback for you. Chen Beiyuan looked playfully at the silver USB flash drive that was thrown up and down in front of him, exuding a mysterious light, and a strange smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. This silver USB flash drive contains the list. Lin Xiao secretly handed it over to Chiu Shuame of the Weilong Group in the Magic City a long time ago, preparing to use it to turn the tables at a critical moment. But what Lin Xiao never dreamed of was that after Chiu Shuame got the silver USB flash drive, she handed it over to Chen Beiyuan. Almost all of Lin Xiao's plans are under his control. Human, being too smart is not a good thing. If you are so smart, you are not far from death. Of course, you won't die until I nod, but some necessary punishment is still necessary. At this moment, my brother-in-law Beiyuan called, and that mean voice began to report on the progress of the work. Brother-in-law, I have caught that little bastard Ito Makoto. What are your orders next? How are you going to greet him? We are all guests from far away. We are all guests no matter what. Don't overdo it. I will just say one word to give him some peace of mind, and you can take care of the rest. Chen Beiyuan said casually. Hey, don't worry, brother-in-law. I promise to make clear arrangements for him. If that bitch comes in and dares to make noises and try to get relatives, I have to give him a taste of the great memory recovery technique in the prison. No. Within an hour, he even had to tell me the color of his own mother's panties. Beiyuan looked at the crying Ito Makoto not far away with a sneer, and then looked at the silent Lin Xiao not far away. By the way, brother-in-law, what are you going to do with this guy Lin Xiao? This guy is much tougher than Ito Makoto. From the moment he came in until now, he looks like he's dead. He seems to be a man. Doesn't he like to give women to others to play with? Then let him have a taste of being played with. I remember that there are a few bisexual Tauren imprisoned in the dark cell. Those things are very popular with human men. They lock people up, go in and use the photo stone to record everything that happens next. Chen Beiyuan said calmly. The hermaphrodite Tauren he spoke of were a foreign race located in the north. They were a mutant species of Tauren. They could be said to be suitable for both men and women and could be attacked or received. However, most of the time these things were in an attacking state. Only when they encounter a being that is bigger and more terrifying than themselves will they show their receptive side. Lin Xiao was handcuffed and leg-cuffed, with limited mobility and limited strength. It is natural to imagine what will happen. Brother-in-law, you have to be ruthless. Beiyuan was also a little numb from this suggestion at this moment. Those hermaphrodite Tauren were generally over 3 meters in size, like a green giant. Lin Xiao was like a little chicken in front of them. Next, I'm afraid a classic scene from Avengers will happen. The Hulk smiled evilly at Black Widow. I hope Lin Zhuoxiao can come to save people soon. If it's a few days at night, Lin Xiao will probably turn into the shape of those Tauren. Imperial Inquisition, Black Prison. Lin Xiao watched helplessly as Ito Makoto was tied up hand and foot, with a piece of cloth stuffed in his mouth, and sent into the execution chamber. He was whipped fiercely with a thick black whip covered with blades. After a few blows, he was instantly beaten on the spot. Become a bloody man? The shrill and suppressed howls resounded continuously in the execution chamber. Snapped, snapped, snapped. Say it or not. Say it or not. Snapped, snapped, snapped. Say it or not. Say it or not. Snapped, snapped, snapped. Say it or not. Say it or not. Ito Makoto was almost going crazy with pain. You didn't even ask a damn question. What did I say? Also, UF *** king gag my mouth. What can I say? You can untie it. In less than 10 minutes, Ito Makoto was beaten with bruises and whip marks all over his body, and he was knocked unconscious. Puff. Throw a bucket of concentrated salt water over. Ito Makoto woke up from the pain in an instant and suddenly screamed again. You're still screaming so loudly. It seems like you haven't hit me properly. Keep hitting me. If you feel faint, I'll wake you up. When did you say it, and when did you stop? Lin Xiao, don't be afraid. You are different from him. He is from Sakura. You are from Donghua, and one of our own. For the sake of my own people, I will definitely not torment you like that. I know the rules. You will stay in the dark cell these days. When will Lin Zhuoxiao clear up the relationship and come to rescue you, you can leave. Of course, newcomers will definitely suffer a little when they come in, so you should be mentally prepared. With a kind expression on his face, Beiyuan gave a rare word of comfort to Lin Xiao, who looked a little ugly. Immediately, he waved to a judge in black next to him. Take this prisoner to cell number 31 on the second floor of the black cell. Thank you, Mr. Bai. Lin Xiao was stunned for a moment, with a grateful expression on his face and secretly relieved in his heart. Although I don't know what kind of medicine Beiyuan sells in the gourd, it may be good to avoid some physical pain. He is not a masochist and likes to be dealt with. Now that you are in the hands of others, you will naturally not confront them head-on. You still have to bow your head when necessary. It seems that Beiyuan still has some scruples and doesn't dare to torture me to death. After all, I am also a member of the Lin family. Not everyone is as arrogant, domineering, and unscrupulous as Chen Beiyuan. Lin Xiao, who was dragged away in chains by the black-clothed judge, lowered his head and thought to himself, ignoring the peeping eyes from the surrounding cells. Soon, he was brought to a prison cell deep in the second level of the dungeon that exuded the stench of decay. The judge in black opened the cell door, pushed him in, and said coldly, "Young master Bai specifically told me not to kill anyone." After saying that, he left without looking back. Only Lin Xiao was left lying in the cell, handcuffed and leg-cuffed, with a confused look on his face. What's the situation? Before Lin Xiao had time to take stock of his surroundings, he was suddenly surrounded by three behemoths that exuded a strong stench, had long curved horns, looked like black iron towers, and were covered in animal skins. In front of these three behemoths, Lin Xiao was as delicate and cute as a rag doll. Male? Human? The largest tower made a strange voice that sounded like a man or a woman, etc. Bang! Before Lin Xiao could react, his head was directly pressed to the ground by a huge cow's hoof, and his clothes instantly exploded and turned into ashes. Puffed. His eyes suddenly bulged, and he let out a howl that didn't sound like a human being. Chapter 138, Part 1. In the cell, Lin Xiao's inhuman howling only lasted for less than a moment, and soon stopped abruptly, as if it was blocked by something. With his strength restrained by special handcuffs and leg irons, he was like a tattered rag doll in front of several minotaurs that looked like giant iron tower beasts, unable to fight back. At this moment, he was experiencing both mental and physical torture. The humans and alien ferocious beasts in other surrounding cells were also casting strange glances there at this moment, and soon moved their eyes away in disgust. Every scene that happened inside was recorded by a photo stone and a projection stone that were placed in advance. Office of the Administrator. Chen Beiyuan was sitting on the sofa, expressionlessly admiring the high-definition picture projected by the projection stone. He was amazed and said to Leng Ruobing, who was kneeling on the ground busy, "Ruobing, I will pay back the previous debt from the Kyoto nightclub for you." Leng Ruobing didn't say a word, just lowered her head and continued busy. The love contained in those charming eyes looking at Chen Beiyuan was almost overflowing. Just now, Chen Beiyuan suddenly asked her out and said he had something good for her to see. After arriving, she saw Lin Xiao being pressed to the ground and rubbed by several stinky tauren. Unexpectedly, she didn't feel any nausea at all, but instead felt a sense of joy. When she was in the Kyoto nightclub, if Chen Beiyuan hadn't taken action, her end would never have been better than that of Lin Xiao in the cell. Over the years, countless women have died at the hands of Lin Jiuxiao, and most of them ended up miserable. After the third young master of the Lin family got tired of playing with it, he liked to give it to his subordinates to play with, or throw it to some humanoid alien slaves to satisfy their own perverted fetishes. It's just that she has never been able to take revenge on Lin Xiao, the instigator. Now, this bastard finally got the comeuppance he deserved. Those who sell people will always be sold. Facing the man in front of her who avenged her, Leng Ruobing just wanted to use all methods to repay him. At this moment, even if Chen Beiyuan makes some excessive demands, she will agree without hesitation, because, in her eyes, this man is already her only one. Ding! Due to the strong intervention of the host, the heroine Leng Ruobing of Luck has developed a mentality of surrender and attachment to the host from body to soul. She will never betray you. Even if you want her to die, she will refuse. Because the gears of fate have been partially reversed, part of the fate that belongs exclusively to the heroine Leng Ruobing, Luck, will be transferred to the host. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining the fate of Luck from the heroine Leng Ruobing and successfully activating divine luck ability. Life and death depend on each other. Life and death depend on each other. Leng Ruobing. When the host encounters damage, the damage can be transferred to Leng Ruobing. When the host encounters a death crisis, Leng Ruobing's life can be used to replace its death, and vice versa. Note: Leng Ruobing's death will have no effect on the host, and its transferred luck will disappear. Life and death? Luck divine ability? Chen Beiyuan looked stunned. It was obviously the first time he had heard of such a weird divine ability. However, this divine ability can almost be said to have given him an extra life. If used properly, it can even save several lives. This is almost a substitute for the powerful divine ability. As long as Leng Ruobing can bear it, he can transfer almost all the injuries he suffers. Even if Leng Ruobing dies, he will not be affected at all. What a weird and domineering divine ability power. It almost ties Leng Ruobing's life to Linhua. At the critical moment, I can use her as a substitute in exchange for my own safety. Not only that, part of Leng Ruobing's destiny and luck has also been transferred to me. This means that I can enjoy the treatment that some protagonists deserve. Opportunity comes. Divine beasts recognize their masters. Fairies love me. Wait a minute, is the lucky divine ability of life and death exclusive to Leng Ruobing, or is it shared by all lucky heroines? If I can gather part of the destiny of all lucky heroines into me, and then combine their lives with I'm connected, don't I have many more lives? And I can share the superimposed health bars of all the heroines of luck? Swish! Chen Beiyuan looked at Leng Ruobing and felt hot instantly. His fiery gaze made her lower her head shyly, a little deeper. One of them is just a fourth-grade general. Leng Ruobing, who has not obtained the Emperor Gu, is naturally nothing. The other lucky heroines are not simple. Jiang Yunhua has the Fire Phoenix fighting spirit, can be reborn from the fire, and possesses countless secret treasures. Bai Ruowei is a Bai Ruowei with a special identity who possesses the fighting spirit of Bai Zhe and is able to understand ghosts, gods, and all things, know before and after, seek good fortune, and avoid evil. Both of these two are top prodigies who are expected to become 8th grade Emperor Gu, etc. Chen Beiyuan's expression suddenly became a little uncertain. He ignored one question. The 8th grade Emperor Gu from the southern Xinjiang Gu clan. If Leng Ruobing got the 8th grade Emperor Gu and lived with it, wouldn't he be able to indirectly share the life of the 8th grade Emperor Gu? Hiss. At that time, even if he has not yet reached the 8th grade War Emperor, he will be able to compete with the 8th grade War Emperor. Even the 8th grade War Emperor has trouble killing him. This is almost a step to the sky, and has the foundation to step into the top combat power. But this will undoubtedly have a substantial conflict with his southern Xinjiang plan. Nowadays, the best candidate to unify southern Xinjiang is not Leng Ruobing, but her mother and Biyu. Moreover, and Biyu can exert the combat power of the 8th grade Emperor Gu faster. Leng Ruobing doesn't know how long it will take to activate the 8th grade Emperor Gu. It would be great if Biyu could also have a life and death dependence on me. Chen Beiyuan's eyes were dark, looking in the direction of southern Xinjiang, with a pensive expression on his face. In southern Xinjiang, Gu clan's stronghold. Exuding strange auras, the female Gu masters of all ages gathered around Biyu, with respect and enthusiasm on their faces. Saintess, I have contacted the Great Elder, and she agrees to meet you. A hunched old woman wearing simple Gu clothes came forward and whispered. If there are people from the Gu tribe here, they will find that this old woman is actually the third most powerful elder in the Gu tribe. No one expected that Biyu could win over the third elder quietly. At this moment, Biyu has almost mastered a powerful force within the Gu clan, and has initially laid the foundation for seizing power. Biyu's cold and charming face nodded slightly and prepared to stand up, but suddenly she seemed to notice a familiar feeling, and at the same time, she looked towards the north. Owner. Chapter 139, Part 1. Saintess, it's time to go, otherwise the Great Elder will be in a hurry. The third elder reminded in a low voice. Biyu finally regained her composure, withdrew her gaze, looked at the people gathered around her, and nodded slightly to express her understanding. She knew very well that the reason why these excluded and suppressed Gu people gathered around her was not only because of their power, but also because of her bloodline. As a direct bloodline of Gu Emperor, she can almost be said to be an orthodox existence. Only the strongest Gu Emperor bloodline can bring out the true strength of the Emperor Gu. At this point, even in Yu Nu, a bitch from a collateral background, couldn't compare to her. Her return this time is to take back everything that once belonged to her. Soon, under the arrangements of many Gu clan elders, Biyu came to a secret residence. I met the legendary Great Elder who was second only to the Saintess of the Gu clan, and had the strength of quasi-emperor. Surprisingly, this Great Elder of the Gu clan, who has lived for nearly 200 years and is regarded as an evergreen tree of the Gu clan. He has profound qualifications and has convinced countless Gu clan members, is not a hideous and ugly old woman with chicken skin and white hair. Instead, she was a beautiful young woman who looked like a ripe peach, with long snow-colored hair, weathered eyes, fair skin, and an exotic aura. What is even more surprising is that the appearance of this Great Elder is somewhat similar to Biyu. The Great Elder looked at Biyu, who was wearing a black cloak, with gentle eyes. There seemed to be some reminiscence and complexity on his face, and he slowly said, Baisu, long time no see. Aunt, long time no see. Biyu also looked at the beautiful young woman in front of her with complicated eyes, and spoke calmly. Yes, the Great Elder of the Gu clan in front of her was clearly her aunt and her mother's sister. This is the real reason why Biyu was able to seize power successfully in the original work. Within the Gu clan, most of the people in high positions are descendants of the female Gu emperor. Almost all of these people have a close relationship with Biyu. Sakura country, Edo family. Baga, That Donghua man is so arrogant that he actually arrested and imprisoned the core members of the Ito family. Damn it, Ito Makoto must be rescued. If that incident is exposed, it will definitely be a disaster for the Ito family. No, those Donghua people probably haven't noticed that yet. Otherwise, their warships would have sailed into the waters of Sakura Kingdom long ago. My grandfather planted a spiritual mark in Ito Makoto's body. As long as he has the thought of telling that thing, his brain will be burned up by the fire of Amaterasu. The old immortal of the Jingu family seems to have known about our plan. It seems that we also have people from the Jingu family. So what if you know? We are doing all this to make Sakura country greater. What qualifications does the Jingu family have to stop it? Ito Makoto must also be rescued. If he remains in the hands of the Donghua people, there will be more hidden dangers. He must be safe and worry-free. However, he cannot bow his head easily, otherwise, those cunning Donghua people will also suspicious. As long as that thing is not exposed, everything else is trivial. This is a big gamble. Once we win, the Sakura people will become the greatest nation in the world. The plan must be launched as soon as possible. Those guys can hardly wait. They are not as patient as us. Chen family. When Chen Beiyuan returned home after sending Leng Ruobing back, he saw a familiar figure looking at him with a pleased expression. Father. Chen Beiyuan looked at Chen Zhuqing, whom he had not seen for a long time, with a hint of surprise on his face. There has been no news since he last reported the Jiang family's plan to his father. He thought his father had been in retreat and had no time to reply. But now it seems that it is obviously different from what he expected. Beiyuan, you have done a good job. Originally, I was a little worried that you would rashly agree to the Jiang family, but now it seems that I was obviously overly worried. You are more stable than I thought. Chen Zhuqing had a bit of relief and emotion on her face, and her eyes were full of tenderness when she looked at her precious son. As early as a month ago, he received a message from his son about cooperation with the Jiang family, but there was no reply. He just wanted to see if his son would act impulsively and agree on behalf of the Chen family. This is a test for the heir. Obviously, Chen Beiyuan gave him a satisfactory answer. The real goal of the Jiang family is not the Sakura Kingdom, but the Chen family. The one who wants to pull the Chen family onto the Jiang family's boat bit by bit and release the corresponding political stance to the outside world. The reason why the Chen family has been independent and neutral over the years is because the Chen family holds the largest military power in the empire, and all parties need to win over us. The Donghua Empire is a powerful joint stock country. Although the Jiang family, as the royal family, is the strongest, it is always checked and balanced by the major families. No one wants to have another uncle on their head. Staying with the Jiang family for too long will not bring much benefit to the Chen family. It will even be regarded as a betrayal and a traitor by other aristocratic families, and will be targeted by all parties. Even the Jiang family is plotting to gain military power from the Chen family. Although the fat meat in Sakura country is delicious, it is poisonous. If the Jiang family has an idea, let them do it. Now the territory on the border front is enough for us to digest. There is no need to start again at this time. Dispute. The most important thing is what you eat. The rest of the promises are bullshit. Even if one day we really want to take action against Sakura country, it will be my Chen family who decides how to divide the flesh. The initiative must be in our hands. Faced with Chen Zhuqing's careful teaching, Chen Beiyuan also nodded slowly. Obviously, he really listened. Some things cannot be taken at face value. Even though the Jiang family looks extremely close to the Chen family now, deep down in their hearts, they feel a hatred. Who could look at a behemoth with millions of troops on the border? A behemoth with a deep and unfathomable foundation that has almost penetrated the entire military world. Every night, I don't know how many people can't sleep. I understand, father. Just understand. My body has begun to retreat during this period, seeking a breakthrough. This clone will stay in the Chen family for a while. If you have any questions about cultivation, you can ask me. My father has heard about what you have been doing these days. If you want to do it, just do it. You can also beat some restless guys. Father Chen said meaningfully. It's hard to imagine that he is just a clone at this moment. Chapter 140, Part 1. Donghua Academy. Along with the news that Ito Makoto and Lin Xiao were taken away by people from the Imperial Tribunal, many people instantly fell into fear, fearing that they would be involved. Suddenly, people were panicked. Fortunately, only Makoto Ito was arrested, and nothing happened to the rest of the Sakura Country Exchange Group. At the same time, the conflict between Chen Beiyuan and the Ito family was also exposed. Obviously, Chen Beiyuan deliberately wanted to mess with the Ito family. This undoubtedly made many people secretly relieved. However, just when many people began to feel relieved, a mysterious man came to the door one by one with a list and asked them to help fish out Lin Xiao. In an instant, those people began to curse. This bribery list is clearly a reminder. If you are not good, you have to go to the dark prison of the Inquisition. In order not to be exposed, they could only choose to find ways to save people in the hope of fishing Lin Xiao out. However, they obviously also hated Lin Xiao in their hearts. This list and the mysterious man are definitely related to Lin Xiao. This thing is both a life-saving talisman and a life-saving talisman. At the same time, the Ito family, the overlord of the Sakura kingdom, also began to exert force. Obviously, they did not want to bow to Chen Beiyuan easily, but chose to interfere through various relationships. As a result, many Donghua families who had business and personal relationships with the Ito family began to use their connections to fish out Ito Makoto first. Among these people, there are many core members of wealthy families and even heirs. Of course, their first target was definitely not Chen Beiyuan, but the Bai family. After all, Ito Makoto is currently being held in the Bai family's trial court, not in the Chen family. Moreover, compared to the Chen family, the Bai family is easier to mess with. The dean feels cold occasionally and doesn't see any outsiders. The third uncle of the Bai family in the Imperial Court of Justice, who was hailed as the King of Hell by countless people, was the first to announce that he was ill and that if anything happened, he would go directly to his nephew Beiyuza. Ever since, Beiyuza, the little devil of the Bai family, instantly became the target of everyone's anger. Without my brother-in-law's warrant, it's useless for anyone to come. My brother-in-law asked me to release him, so I will release him. Otherwise, even if the Heavenly King comes, I won't be able to do it. Beiyuza was also a merciless master. He immediately settled in the black cell and guarded Ito Makoto and Lin Xiao all day long. He said that if his brother-in-law had not opened his mouth, he would have beaten him to death and would not let him go. If you have the ability, come and rob the prison. Good guy. Those people who begged for mercy were so angry when they saw that Beiyuza refused to accept the offer and looked like he could kill me. Finally, after going round and round, I came back to Chen Beiyuan. After much discussion, Lu Zhe, the heir of a middle-class aristocratic family called the Lu family, who was related to the Chen family, came to visit. Brother Chen, my Lu family has a lot of cooperation with the Ito family overseas. I really can't refuse due to human feelings. Can you give me a favor to the Lu family and release Ito Makoto first? Don't worry. Corresponding compensation, I promise not to let you down. To be honest, I have no choice but to do so. In addition to my Lu family, there are many families in the empire who have contacts with the Ito family. The young master of the Lu family seemed very humble in front of Chen Beiyuan, but in his words, he still spoke for the Ito family. This is why the Ito family refused to take the lead in bowing to Chen Beiyuan. Over the years, they have had friendly relationships with many wealthy families in the Donghua Empire. At critical moments, there will always be someone willing to speak for them. There are definitely no less people like the Lu family. In their view, it's just helping someone to get someone, and it's not a big deal. Chen Beiyuan would not give them a face. In response to this, Chen Beiyuan just pondered for a moment, slowly picked up the teacup, and gave his own reply. I'll give you an answer tomorrow. Okay, Brother Chen is really generous. I will go back and wait for the good news. Lu Zhe was overjoyed, thinking that Chen Beiyuan had agreed, and there was a strange flash in his eyes. The young master of the Chen family does not seem to be as strong as in the legend. He seems to be a bit talkative and easy to bully. It's just that the young master of the Lu family didn't realize that all his little actions were caught in the eyes of everyone present. Soon, with some strange feelings in mind, Lu Zhe quickly said goodbye and left. Young master, do you want me to teach him a lesson? In the shadows, old Chen's hoarse voice sounded. Obviously, the way Lu Zhe looked at Chen Beiyuan just now angered the old man. Chen Beiyuan smiled lightly and put down the teacup in his hand. It's just a small roll. It's not necessary. The next day, the young master of the Lu family received the reply from Chen Beiyuan. It was a supreme omen order from the imperial military. It was signed by many famous military bosses and personally signed by Chen Zhiqing, the leader of the imperial military. In the name of the imperial military, Lu Zhe, a special talent, was recruited to go to the front line to serve the country. This is the supreme will from the imperial military and cannot be refused. Not to mention you, a young master from a middle-class family, even if you are the heir to a top family, if you dare to disobey this military order, the imperial military will be the first to sacrifice you to the flag. The majesty of the imperial gun does not tolerate the slightest provocation and must be repaid with blood. When Lu Zhe received this supreme sign order, he was stunned and his face turned pale instantly. At this moment, he still didn't understand that this was the reply, Chen Beiyuan said. Chen Beiyuan had no intention of letting him go. This is obviously to use him to scare the monkeys. Wait a minute, I have to go to the Chen family? Sorry, there are military orders. Please come with us, Master Lu. The superiors have told us that Master Lu must be sent to the frontline battlefield today. Even if he dies, his body must be carried there. The military envoy responsible for delivering military orders said expressionlessly. Ha ha ha, it's normal for children to fight and fight. As elders, we shouldn't interfere. It is also a good thing for young people to go to the frontline battlefields to gain experience. After the military order was delivered, The head of the Lu family immediately went to the Chen family to visit Chen's father, but returned without success. Father Chen's attitude is very clear. Let young people solve their own problems. Lu Zhe was eventually taken away by the military. When the news came out, the entire Yinjing city was in an uproar. No one expected that Chen Beiyuan could be so ruthless and send people to the front line as soon as he took action. In an instant, countless people who wanted to plead fell silent. The Donghua Chen family may not be as powerful as the Bai family in other aspects, but it is definitely the greatest deterrent to major aristocratic families. Since ancient times, truth has only existed between swords. What's more, the Chen family has guns. As soon as the gun comes out, there will be blood. Chapter 141, Part 1. The Chen family's tough attitude instantly shocked many wealthy families who wanted to intercede on behalf of the Edo family. Chen Beiyuan really sent people to the front line without hesitation. This is obviously serious. If the Lu family and his son hadn't bowed their heads quickly, Lu Zhe would have been assigned to the military mission of the Death Squad by now. It's okay now, but I have to stay on the front line for a year and a half. It depends on when Chen Beiyuan is in a good mood and he can come back. After taking care of the Lu family, Chen Beiyuan expressed to the public that he wanted to intercede for the Edo family. No problem. The Cannon Fodder Battalion, on the Imperial front line and the second floor of the Inquisition's Black Cell, are very short of people. If anyone has an idea, you can mention it to him. The former can serve the country and protect the country. The latter can exercise and strengthen the body. They are all serving the empire. No need to be embarrassed. After this series of critical attacks, even a fool knew that the Chen family was serious. Is it really worth it to get involved with the Donghua Chen family for some overseas interests? In an instant, many people fell silent. At the same time, the Bai family, who are related to each other by marriage to the Chen family, also took action. A targeted censorship order was issued. The Donghua Empire suspected that there was internal cooperation, and all industries in the Sakura Kingdom were asked to suspend operations, waiting for the official announcement. Enter the investigation. This move is undoubtedly equivalent to removing the firepower from under the cauldron. How to check? How to do it? Who will check? Who will do it? When will the investigation be completed? When will it end? Naturally, it depends on God's will. This is undoubtedly putting all of Sakura Country's empire's properties on a fire rack. In less than a few hours, the market value of these Sakura people's stocks plummeted. Many people who received the news in advance and took good advantage of the situation immediately made a lot of money, and their mouths were full of oil. This wave is really a dimensionality reduction blow. It is too easy to take advantage of you as an outsider on someone else's territory. Nowadays, even a fool can see that the industries of these Sakura people have now turned into green leeks, which can be harvested without restraint. Profit comes first. Who doesn't want to take a cut and live a good year? Even the wealthy families who had previously interceded for the Edo family joined the harvest army with tacit understanding. In an instant, many companies and industries in Sakura Country went bankrupt one after another, were acquired one by one, and became the property of others. Such unbridled revenge instantly stunned the Edo family, Jingu family, Fukada family, and Fujiki family in Sakura Country. This clearly shows that they are being treated as pigs to be killed. What made them even more scolded was that when they also wanted to confiscate the Donghua people's properties in Sakura Kingdom, they received a warning from the Donghua Empire. If the Sakura Kingdom dares to bully the Donghua people abroad, it will be repaid with blood. At the same time, many families in the Sakura Kingdom also received urgent news, and the Donghua Empire's army seemed to be mobilizing, threaten. A naked threat? In an instant, the entire Sakura Country fell into silence. The toughness of the Donghua people was obviously beyond their expectations. Is this still the humble and low-key ancient Eastern country 100 years ago? So the question is, does Sakura Country have the qualifications to go head-to-head with Donghua Empire at this time? Baga, it's all the fault of the Edo family. Why should the Fukada family pay for their fault? I don't care. The Edo family must compensate the Fukada family for their losses. Yes, the Fujiki family's losses in the Donghua Empire are no less than 100 billion. More than 20 companies are controlled by Donghua people. The Fujiki family's hard work over the years has become the wedding dress of others. Let His Majesty Jingu come forward and put pressure on the Edo family. Make sure the Edo family provides some compensation. As the instigator, the Edo family was undoubtedly questioned by all major families, and even the Jingu family, the most royal family, took advantage of the situation and took a hand. In an instant, the Edo family, the overlord of the Sakura Kingdom, seemed to be the target of public criticism. What makes the Edo family feel even more aggrieved is that their overseas industries have also been suppressed and excluded from all aspects. Many overseas arsenals have been attacked inexplicably, resulting in heavy losses. Many arms dealers who cooperated with them also terminated their contracts and turned to the arms of Longting Group. Ha ha ha, those Sakura people have really offended Chen Beiyuan. They actually made the matter so big. This is obviously going to cut a piece of flesh off of them. An island country located in a corner, who gave them the courage to go against the Donghua Empire. If they had not taken into account many factors in recent years, they would have been dealt with long ago. The accounts back then were not settled with them yet. Now it's just interest. In just 2 days, the Ito family, who had been beaten a series of times, finally bowed their proud heads. Called Chen Beiyuan, who was chatting with Bai Yuza in the imperial tribunal. Chunjun, the Ito family can agree to the request you made before, including a 7th grade magic weapon and 10 billion in funds, and send it as soon as possible. I only hope that you can release Ito Makoto and come forward to calm things down. Ito Hideo's attitude at this moment is obviously significantly different from the last time. His voice is no longer as unruly and arrogant as before, but it is a little more dry and sincere. Obviously, he has clearly seen the terrorist power of the Donghuachan family. The Ito family has now suffered a lot. If they continue to fight, it will obviously be detrimental to them. But facing Hideo Ito's somewhat condescending voice, Chen Beiyuan seemed particularly calm. Things have reached this stage and are no longer under my control. Those wealthy families cannot all listen to me. When they have made enough, they will naturally stop. If you want to play, you can play. If you don't want to play, you can't play. Who do you think you are? When to stop naturally depends on my mood. Okay, Mr. Chun, can you let Ito Makoto go first? The Ito family will pay the corresponding compensation. The price of a 7th grade magic weapon and 10 billion was 2 days ago. I am very dissatisfied with the attitude of the Ito family. How much do you want? 2 7th grade magic weapons, plus 5% of the shares of Sakura Group. Chen Beiyuan opened his mouth unceremoniously. 7th grade magic weapons are not a piece of cake. Each one has terrifying power. Even the heirs of top families only have a few in their hands. As for Sakura Group, that is the lifeblood of the Ito family. 5% of the shares is undoubtedly cutting their flesh. Chen Beiyuan's knife was definitely fast and cruel. To put it bluntly, the value of these things he wants is probably greater than what Sakura Kingdom lost in the Donghua Empire. He was already ready to bargain with the other party. However, to his surprise, Hideo Ito actually agreed. Okay, I promised on behalf of the Ito family that I will have the things delivered today. Chen Beiyuan's pupils flashed, and he instantly realized something was wrong. Hideo Ito agreed so readily. Although the 3rd son of the Ito family is precious, it is definitely not worth the price. Unless Makoto Ito hides something more valuable. Chapter 142, Part 1. The phone hangs up. Chen Beiyuan's eyes flashed with a strange light. He looked at Bai Yuza in front of him faintly, and asked in a calm tone. Stao Bai, what has Ito Makoto recruited these days? Brother-in-law, this little Sakura brat has been very honest these past 2 days. He answers whatever I ask. He even told him the color of his mother's underwear. It seems to be purple and transparent. But when it comes to spies, this guy would be beaten to death. Deny. Bai Yuza rubbed his hands, with a somewhat lewd expression on his handsome baby face. Obviously, he has learned a lot about the matron of the Ito family from Ito Makoto in the past few days. In the past 2 days, under the influence of the great memory recovery technique, Ito Makoto has been able to answer all questions, and he has done everything. But as for the spy matter, he would not admit it even to death. This is normal. Ito Makoto would admit that he is a spy unless he is crazy. Don't admit that there is still a chance of survival. Admitting it is equivalent to handing over your life to others. At that time, you really can't help yourself. Ito Makoto knew very well that as long as he resisted, the family would do their best to save him. But for Bai Yuza, is it really important whether Ito Makoto is a spy? As long as the brother-in-law opens his mouth, no matter whether the other party is right or not, he must be yes. Chen Beiyuan waved his hand to stop the gossip in Bai Yuza's mouth. His eyes suddenly became serious, and he looked at his brother-in-law in front of him, and he slowly said, Please make arrangements. I want to be alone with Ito Makoto. Don't let anyone know about this except you. I understand, brother-in-law. I will make arrangements right away. Seeing that his brother-in-law became serious, Bai Yuza also noticed that something was wrong, and the wretchedness on his face instantly disappeared and he became serious. The Imperial Court of Justice is the private domain of the Bai family, and the president is still his 3rd uncle. As the young master of the Bai family, he naturally has considerable authority. A special transfer order will come out soon. The black and white judges on the 1st floor of the black cell were temporarily transferred. The corresponding monitoring equipment was also temporarily shut down. Execution chamber. He was tied to a wooden stake, and his limbs were driven into steel nails. The figure covered in blood and flesh was lowering his head and motionless. The originally handsome face had already been beaten to pieces by the whip. In the past few days, Ito Makoto has been treated well more than once. Suddenly, a faint sound of footsteps was heard. With his head lowered and his eyelids swollen, he seemed to react and raised his head subconsciously. It's you? There was a horrified expression on Ito Makoto's face, but before he could react, his sight was covered by a pair of evil and majestic dark purple eyes, and strands of evil thoughts poured into his mind instantly. The frightened face gradually turned dull and absent-minded. With an expressionless expression, Chen Beiyuan controlled the strange demonic thoughts to penetrate into Edo Cheng's mind little by little, as if he was looking for something. Ever since he broke through to the 6th grade Battle King, the 8th grade technique of prison-suppressing magic manual has begun to show its edge, showing its terrifying power. Unlike ordinary cultivators, the spiritual thoughts can only be used to detect and attack. As a man who practices magic, his own demonic thoughts are extremely weird, with the ability to distort reality and invade thoughts. It can silently invade the target's body, mark it, and subconsciously influence it for its own use. Soon, his face showed an expression that was indeed the case. The evil thoughts wandering around in Ito Makoto's mind soon touched a spiritual imprint, and he suddenly felt a great threat. As long as his demonic thoughts are even slightly closer, they will touch that spiritual imprint, and in an instant, it will be burned away by endless flames. As expected, Ito Makoto's soul has been planted with some kind of spiritual imprint. As long as he wants to say the corresponding content, his soul will be wiped out. With such a fatal threat, no wonder he dare not say a word even if he is killed. Interesting, the secret is being used as a cover at the cost of life. Is this why the Ito family desperately wants to save him? Chen Beiyuan had an interesting expression on his face. The spiritual imprint hidden deep in Ito Makoto's soul is very powerful. At least it was left by the 8th grade War Emperor. With his current demonic thoughts, it is impossible to bypass its blockade and detect the contents inside. In this case, things become very difficult. Even if the 8th grade War Emperor personally takes action, it may disturb the spiritual imprint, leading to failure and being noticed by the people behind the scenes. If it were anyone else, I would be stumped, but you just happened to meet me. The wordless medical scripture has a special elixir that can deal with this situation. A strange smile appeared on Chen Beiyuan's face. Suddenly, there was a strange pill in his hand. Unlike other elixirs that are refined from plants, trees, metals, and stones, the elixir in his hand is condensed from a certain kind of special aura. The transparent tan bark can vaguely see the gas flowing like liquid inside. Empty spirit pill. This is one of the several special elixirs revealed in the wordless medical scripture. After he broke through the 6th grade Battle Queen, this elixir can put the target's soul thinking into an ethereal state and unconsciously bypass some taboos and ask some special questions. This thing is almost equivalent to the magic version of truth serum. It allows the target to tell the answer without going through the brain or touching the mental imprint. Have you ever had this situation where you blurted out something before your brain could react and didn't react until you finished speaking? Chen Beiyuan placed the empty spirit pill in front of Ito Makoto's nose. With Ito Makoto's subconscious breathing, the pill exploded instantly, turning into a burst of gas visible to the naked eye and pouring into his nasal cavity. Soon, the stiffness on Ito Makoto's face gradually relaxed, and his absent-minded eyes became relaxed, as if he had fallen into some special state. Chen Beiyuan's eyes were fixed, and he suddenly asked, "May I have your name?" "Makoto Ito." Ito Makoto replied blankly. "Your identity?" "The third son of the Ito family." After asking a few basic questions and confirming that the target was in the right state, Chen Beiyuan started to ask the real questions. "What is your purpose in coming to Donghua Empire?" "Assist Jinggu Fengyuan to buy students from Donghua Academy, provide help and assistance when needed in the future, and secretly select targets that can be domesticated by the Ito family, and start the invasion plan again." "Start the invasion plan again?" Chen Beiyuan's eyes changed, as if he thought of something. "My grandfather has made contact again with the alien ferocious beasts on the border front of the Donghua Empire." Chapter 143, Part 1. My grandfather has once again made contact with the alien ferocious beasts on the border front of the Donghua Empire. Those brainless guys are very dissatisfied with the Donghua people occupying a large area of their territory. Originally, those brainless guys were planning to fight. I went back, but under the persuasion of my grandfather, I finally agreed to cooperate with our Ito family. Those guys are not making the slightest move to fight back now, just to paralyze the many top powerhouses in the Donghua Empire gathered on the border front and make them relax their vigilance. When the time comes, the Ito family will launch an internal response in the Donghua Empire and cause chaos, to disrupt the situation and force those top experts to return. At that time, those guys will launch an attack, raid the border front, retake the territory, and penetrate all the way to the north of the Donghua Empire. My grandfather has made an agreement with them. As soon as the plan is launched, the Sakura Kingdom will also send troops, cooperate inside and outside, and draw the Donghua Empire into the war. The north belongs to them, and the south belongs to us. Ito Makoto had empty eyes and a relaxed look on his face, as if he had fallen into some kind of dream. He revealed the wolfish ambitions of the Ito family bit by bit like he was dreaming. No one expected that the Sakura people would actually collude with the ferocious alien race to carve up the Donghua Empire. You know, the human race and the alien ferocious beasts can almost be said to be incompatible existences. The grudge between the two sides has lasted for thousands of years, and there have been countless battles to compete for habitat. No matter how much the human race countries like civil war, when it comes to racial issues, it is the biggest thing. You secretly have trade dealings with alien ferocious beasts, which is somewhat involved. As long as it is not exposed, it is a trivial matter and everyone can turn a blind eye. After all, this is what everyone does. But if you want to collude with the ferocious beasts and aliens to murder the top powers of the human race in order to achieve your own selfish interests and cause damage to the human race internally, that is naked betrayal. If this kind of thing is not exposed, forget it. If it were to be exposed, the Human Race Alliance, composed of the world's top powers, would be the first to refuse to agree. Anyone who betrays the human race will be attacked by all countries. This is the bottom line. I'm afraid that even his grandfather Ito Ryu could not have imagined that his carefully laid plan would go wrong with Ito Makoto. Normally, it would be impossible for Makoto Ito, who was imprinted with a spiritual brand, to live to tell these things. It's a pity that no one knows the horror of this peerless medical scripture, the wordless medical classic. Wordless medical scripture can become son of Fortune Lin Zhao's biggest goldfinger, and its gold content is naturally conceivable. Just one empty spirit pill tore apart the conspiracy of the Sakura people, revealing the ugly and disgusting face inside. Chen Beiyuan's eyes became colder and colder, and the killing intent in his eyes could hardly be concealed. He stared straight at Ito Makoto in front of him and continued to ask, what methods are the Ito family planning to use to create chaos? Assault on a special person? Who is the target? I don't know. This is the top secret of the family. Only my grandfather, father, and that bastard Ito Hideo know? When Ito Makoto mentioned his eldest brother Ito Hideo, a trace of ferocity flashed across his originally soothing face. It was obvious that he was deeply resentful and had a faint tendency to wake up. Chen Beiyuan frowned slightly and changed the topic directly. Besides the Ito family, who else was involved? Fujiki, Rakuya, Fukada, Ueno, Yukino. The ferocity on Ito Makoto's face gradually dissipated and turned into calm, and he answered blankly. Chen Beiyuan's eyes flashed, seeming a little surprised. The Shingu family didn't participate? Grandfather doesn't want the Jingu family to get involved. As long as the plan succeeds, the Ito family will be the new royal family of Sakura country. By then, all the men of the Jingu family will have to die, and the women will have to become slaves. I'm prepared for that bitch Jingu Yukino. Let her be my slave girl. If the plan fails, I will push the Jingu family out to apologize. However, now that the matter is so big, the Shingu family should have noticed a clue. Ito Makoto murmured to himself like a dream. Chen Beiyuan nodded secretly, but he had a different explanation for this. What Sakura people are best at is apologizing afterward. If the plan failed, the Jingu family, the royal family of the Sakura kingdom, would be just fine. The last question is, 100 years ago, a supergiant secret realm appeared on the border of the Donghua Empire. Two 8th-grade beasts suddenly appeared. Alien riots occurred on the border front. The entire northern front fell. Is the fall of the Chen family ancestor related to Ito Ryu? Chen Beiyuan said expressionlessly. This question had grown like a weed deep in his heart as early as when Ito Makoto said that Ito Rikoshi had once again contacted the ferocious alien race and launched an invasion plan. 100 years ago, in that sudden invasion, the Chen family of Donghua lost an ancestor, and countless Chen family members were killed and injured before the entire corrupted northern border was restored. The invading alien beasts were driven away, and the territory was regained. What happened was too sudden and too coincidental. Two 8th-grade ferocious beasts happened to appear at the weak point of the border front and destroyed the entire border wall. At that time, the Sakura kingdom happened to launch an invasion of the Donghua Empire. If there was no connection, he would never believe it. And Makoto Ito's next answer also verified his guess. Yes, that was my grandfather's first contact with a foreign race of ferocious beasts. My grandfather drew a border defense map of the Donghua Empire through his internal agents and gave it to them. Internal response, border defense map. Chen Beiyuan's pupil shrank, and his face instantly turned cold and ugly. That incident almost caused the overall strength of the Donghua Chen family to drop significantly. If the old man hadn't broken through the 8th-grade war emperor in time, and took the initiative to invite all the major families to fight, defeating them one by one, showing a strong scene. The military power of the Chen family may have been divided among others long ago. The Chen family, which has lost its military power, is afraid that it will not be able to maintain its status as a top family and will fall directly to the bottom, and no one will dare to step on it. Ito Rikoshi, you really deserve to die. And those lurking spies and traitors. At this moment, Chen Beiyuan wanted to slap the little bastard of the Ito family in front of him to death, But he knew very well that doing so would not only be useless, but would also make the Ito family vigilant. The living Makoto Ito is more valuable than the dead Makoto Ito. Now that we know the Ito family's plan, the next step is to use their plan to trap the Sakura people and the ferocious beasts and aliens on the border front, and annihilate them all. One pot was served. Chen Beiyuan took out a picture stone from his arms, turned it on directly to Ito Makoto in front of him. Tell me everything you know about the spy and the Ito family's plan. Chapter 144, Part 1. Although Ito Makoto does not know all of the Ito family's plans and all the insider lists, even a part of it is enough. Sometimes, one person can pull out a bunch of people, and only half of them can be pulled out. From ancient times to the present, traitors are more hateful than enemies. One by one, everyone involved must die. After recording Ito Makoto's words, Chen Beiyuan called out the sleeping little silly dragon. Anu, erase the memory of him seeing me. To be sure, Ito Makoto's memory of seeing him must be erased. If you want to catch everyone in one fell swoop, you can't leave any hidden dangers. Sakura country, Ito family, ferocious beasts, aliens, traitors, these are the goals that he will deal with one by one next. Originally, his idea was to focus on the layout of southern Xinjiang and enhance his own strength. He had no plans to deal with the Sakura people for the time being. But now, the Sakura people are very ambitious. If they want to join forces with the ferocious beasts and aliens to overthrow the Donghua Empire, they still have to use the northern front as a breakthrough. This will undoubtedly put the Donghua Chen family on the fire. In this case, if you don't find a way to kill these idiots first, Chen Beiyuan, the young master of the Chen family, will be in vain. Moreover, every member of the Chen family will never forget the blood feud 100 years ago. As the culprit, Ito Rikoshi must die, and he must not die too happily. Makoto Ito is the next crucial link. Ito Ryu must be convinced that the Donghua people are not aware of his plan, so that he can continue to contact the ferocious aliens on the border front. Although Chen Beiyuan's demonic thoughts can roughly blur Ito Makoto's memory, he is not sure whether it will be noticed by Ito Ryu, an old fox. He didn't have much confidence in the 8th grade emperor of the Ito family. The old man can do it, but he is far away on the border front, and his every move easily attracts attention from all parties. Dad is practicing in seclusion in the 3rd theater, but after all, he is just a newly promoted quasi-emperor. The elder of the Chen family is not weak in soul attainments, but after all, he is only a quasi-emperor, and is still far behind the 8th grade war emperor. In this case, the former 8th grade ferocious beast bloody dragon emperor is the best choice. The little silly dragon Anu has extremely high attainments in the soul. Before, he was almost distorted by a spiritual imprint left behind, and became her human pet to protect her. If his abyss, fighting spirit hadn't been powerful enough, he might have been ridden by the little silly dragon at this moment. Even after rebirth, the soul strength of the little silly dragon Anu is still that of the 8th grade dragon emperor. Coupled with the terrifying talent of the evil dragon clan to control the soul, it is easy to erase some of Ito Makoto's memories. Even Ito Rikoshi couldn't detect anything strange. The bloody dragon emperor at his peak could almost be said to be the top of the 8th grade ferocious beasts. There are only a handful of 8th grade war emperors in the human race countries who can compete with him. Yuan, hungry. The little silly dragon that was summoned was obviously very angry about getting out of bed. After seeing Chen Beiyuan, he bit him out of habit. Snapped. Chen Beiyuan expressionlessly gave a certain little silly dragon that was used to 3-way attacks a resounding blow to the head, and immediately beat it until it screamed wildly. Where do all these bad habits come from? He finally saw it clearly. Even though the little silly dragon always looked silly in front of him, he was still essentially a mixed-blood evil baby dragon with a bad personality. He was indeed a little too indulgent before, which caused her to develop many bad habits. Yuan, bad. The little silly dragon Anu, who had a small bump on his head, had an angry expression on his face, and the thick and powerful scarlet dragon's tail was flicking around. If you don't obey me, your share of animal milk tonight will be halved. Also, you can sleep in the blood pool by yourself tonight, and you are not allowed to go to my bed. Chen Beiyuan's cold voice reached her ears, and Xiaoxi Dragon Chi's bulging expression instantly became dull, and her pair of weird dual pupils widened instantly. For a greedy baby dragon, not giving her animal milk would cost her her life. What's even worse is that she, a baby dragon, has no one to accompany her at night and no one to tell her bedtime stories. How can she sleep? Last time I just talked about the wonderful scene of the dragon snatches the beautiful man. Facing Chen Beiyuan's increasingly superb dragon training skills, even a proud and arrogant little silly dragon can only lower his noble head. All right, 10 minutes later. The confused Ito Makoto slowly opened his swollen eyes, looking at the empty execution chamber. A trace of confusion seemed to flash through his absent-minded eyes. All previous memories about Chen Beiyuan have been completely erased. It's true to be cautious. There are actually people in the Imperial Court of Justice who have been infiltrated by Ito Makoto. Although he is just an inconspicuous jailer, sometimes such an inconspicuous little person is the most likely to do bad things. After leaving the execution chamber and returning to the trial court, Chen Beiyuan looked at the list of insiders on the shadow stone in his hand, with a dark light flashing in his eyes. In this list, there are some inconspicuous little people and some famous people. Among them are many unpopular descendants of aristocratic families. 100 years ago, the old immortal Ito Rukoshi started the layout. Over the years, there are naturally not a few people who have been bribed. The list in his hand is just the tip of the iceberg. The entire list is not accessible to just Makoto Ito. Just as he was thinking, Beiyuan also walked over. Brother-in-law, Lin Shufeng, the head of the Lin family, spoke to my third uncle and wanted to bail Lin Xiao out. My third uncle asked me to ask your opinion. Don't worry, I will definitely be on your side. Lin Jiuxiao has even moved out, so let him go. There is no need to embarrass your third uncle. Say hello to his old man for me. Find a time, and I will pay him a visit in person. Chen Beiyuan paused and nodded slowly. The third uncle of the Bai family has been under a lot of pressure during this period. After all, there are many people interceding for Lin Xiao and Ito Makoto. In particular, Lin Jiuxiao used almost all her connections and even her own father moved out. In this case, there is no need to embarrass the Bai family. You can never take other people's kindness for granted. After all, the other party is the elder of his fiancée. Some necessary etiquette is still required. Being able to recruit people at all costs, it seems that Lin Jiuxiao definitely has true love for Lin Xiao. I just wonder what his expression will be like when he goes to recruit people. A playful smile appeared on Chen Beiyuan's lips. Chapter 145, Part 1. Although Chen Beiyuan was a little curious about Lin Jiuxiao's reaction when he saw Lin Xiao's miserable state, he had more important things to do than being curious. If he wants to wipe out all the Sakura people and the ferocious beasts and aliens on the border front, he will definitely not be able to do it alone. This kind of thing definitely requires the entire Chen family to work together. Chen family. The photographic stone that recorded Ito Makoto's confession was currently placed in front of Chen's father. As the image of the photo stone played back bit by bit, Father Chen's serious and unsmiling face gradually became ugly. No wonder the beast disaster broke out so suddenly, almost in the gap between the army's defensive changes. The two 8th-grade beasts also happened to appear at the weakest position. It turned out that there was an insider within the empire. There are only a few people who have access to the border defense map and know the time for the army to change defenses. They even dare to sell this top secret of the empire. It seems that all of them are tired of living. Although the list provided by Ito Makoto did not reveal the identity of the traitor who betrayed the border defense map, but Chen Zhiqing obviously already has a rough range. There are only so many people who have access to such important military secrets. Chen family, Lin family, Jiang family. Beiyuan, you did a good job. Who else knows about this besides you? No more. I didn't even reveal it to Xiaobai. I asked Anu to erase Ito Makoto's memory. Even the old immortal Ito Ryu couldn't find any clues. Chen Beiyuan said with a serious face. Father Chen nodded, with a look of emotion on his face. Apparently he was a little surprised by his son's thoughtfulness, even he couldn't find any fault with it. Very good. The main body already knows about this matter. You can make several copies of this image stone and give one copy to the great elder. He will give it to the old man through special channels. If you dare to plot against our Chen family, no matter who he is or what force is behind him, you must pay with blood. Father Chen's eyes flashed coldly, and there seemed to be a terrifying demonic energy surging in his body, almost tearing apart the space. Although he was just a clone, the aura vaguely revealed on his body at this moment was even more terrifying than that of the 7th-grade ferocious beast in the Soul Beast Tower. Even Chen Beiyuan felt a little threatened at this moment. Obviously, after Chen's father broke through the quasi-emperor, his strength improved so fast that it was incredible. Now, I am afraid that I am not far away from the 8th-grade war emperor. Sutra Pavilion. When the great elder saw the content engraved on the image stone, his old face covered with age spots instantly turned ferocious, and his cloudy eyes seemed to burst with a terrifying imperial power, tearing through the void. Ito Rukoshi. As Chen Beiyuan brought the photo stone back, the terrifying beast of the Chen family that had been dormant for many years was instantly reawakened by the blood feud of the past. Blood debt must be paid with blood. The 2nd floor of the black cell. Lin Jiuxiao held a dark golden warrant and walked in the damp and dark passage. The jailer in black next to him was leading the way with a flickering oil lamp. Under the dim light, strange prisoners dressed as prisoners could be vaguely seen in the cells on the left and right sides. There are humans who have had their limbs chopped off, their eyes gouged out, and their limbs cut off. There was an orc head hanging in the air, still cursing in orc language. There was a vampire duke who had most of his flesh and blood removed, exposing his white bones, who was nailed to a cross and soaked in a septic tank. There is even an earthly python that is about to undergo dragon transformation, but at this moment it is nailed 7 inches by steel nails, as thick as fists, and all the scales on its body have been pulled out, revealing its bloody flesh. Most of the people who can be imprisoned in black cells are not simple existences. They either have special identities or have secrets. The reason why the Donghua Empire did not execute them directly was because they were still valuable. Some of these people are evil cultivators who do evil things, like to kill people, and possess peerless magical skills. Some are kings of alien tribes, and some are powerful ferocious beasts that can fix their scales and draw blood. Their value alive is far greater than dead. Although they are more inclined to live than die at this moment, they are still alive after all. At this moment, the pairs of green eyes were all focused on the dark gold warrant in Lin Jiuxiao's hand, their eyes full of madness and greed. It was the highest order signed by the president of the Imperial Court of Justice, which allowed any prisoner to be taken away directly from the cells on the first 5 floors of the black cell. Over the years, dark gold warrants have appeared only a handful of times. The last time it appeared was 20 years ago. A certain powerful alien group spent a huge price to get one and redeem their king. Boy, take me out and I can give you the remaining 8 grade skills. Human, I am the former wolf king of the wolf human race. I know the location of a secret realm with rich resources. As long as you take me away, I will tell you the location. Human, I, the bloody duke of the Dracula family. As long as you take me out, you will gain the friendship of the entire Dracula family. Human, take me away. As long as you can get me out of the situation of being skinned and bloodied, I can recognize you as my master and serve you for 100 years. Lin Jiuxiao's face was expressionless, and he ignored the temptations that kept coming around him, without being tempted at all. However, the hand holding the dark gold warrant in his hand was a little tighter. In order to get Lin Xiao out, he tried his best and used almost all his connections, but there was still no way. In the end, he asked his own father to come forward to negotiate with the Bai family, and then he got the secret gold warrant from the Bai family. Under such circumstances, how could he easily sell the dark gold warrant? How far is it? Lin Jiuxiao frowned and asked with a bit of irritation on his face. Master Lin, it's just ahead. The jailer suddenly stopped, pointed to the cell in front of him, and said. Lin Jiuxiao was stunned, and soon saw a few emaciated Taoran lying motionless on the ground in the dirty and damp cell, as if they were dead. But what about Lin Xiao? Suddenly, Lin Jiuxiao's face froze, as if he had seen something. In the corner of the cell, a large area of smelly yellow-white liquid piled up, and a barely recognizable human figure was lying inside, motionless. Lin Xiao. Lin Jiuxiao froze on the spot, muttering to himself with dull eyes. Suddenly, the figure lying in the yellow-white liquid trembled slightly, as if hearing his call. He opened his eyes, moving to the dormitory, from morning to now, almost exhausted. Chapter 146, Part 1. Lin Jiuxiao didn't know how he walked into the cell. His eyes were dull as he looked at Lin Xiao, who was swollen and bruised. At this moment, he is like the belated hero in some sadistic novels. When he arrived, Huang Mao in her room was too tired to move. As for his beloved, he was well taken care of by those yellow furs, and he was well fed every meal. He ate at least 9 meals a day, and he was all fattened up. Sorry. Lin Jiuxiao lowered her head and held Lin Xiao in her arms. She didn't mind the dirt and stench on his body at all, and her face was full of guilt and apology. If he had known that Lin Xiao would be treated so cruelly in the past 2 days, he would not have let him be taken away by the people of the Inquisition. I have to say that this pair of crouching dragon and phoenix chicks are definitely true love. Go home. Lin Xiao's face was white, his eyes were blank, and he looked like he was mentally broken, and he muttered to himself. Okay, go home, let's go home. Lin Jiuxiao picked him up and was about to leave, but when he passed the Taoran, viciousness and cruelty flashed across his face, and he was ready to kill him. But his movements were sudden, as if he had discovered something. There's something wrong with the skin of these Taoran. Why is it glowing purple? Moreover, it seems that he is not breathing, already dead. But, for some reason, when they died, their ugly faces turned out to be filled with weird and joyful smiles. Poisoned by some kind of poison? Lin Jiuxiao's eyes paused, then focused below them, and his pupils shrank. His eyes suddenly looked at Lin Xiao in his arms. Could it be Lin Xiao did it? In the end, Lin Jiuxiao took Lin Xiao away. After he left, several minotaur corpses were dragged out by the jailers. After forensic examination, it was found that a large amount of neurotoxin had corroded their nerves, killing them bit by bit. No one expected that Lin Xiao could actually have such a means to kill these mutated Taoran with his hands, feet, and cultivation level restrained. Soon, the corresponding investigation report was transferred by Beiyuan personally. As for these Taoran who were poisoned to death, just die in a cell, the death of 1 or 2 people, or the death of an inhuman alien beast, is a trivial matter. The minotaurs after death were not wasted. They were sent directly to the processing factory, where they could be made into canned meat sauce and sold to the aliens on the front line. Anyway, those guys don't mind if the canned meat is of the same kind, as long as it's edible. I have to say that the Ito family is very efficient. In less than a day, the Ito family's messenger arrived and brought 2 7th-grade magic weapons and a 5% share transfer letter for Sakura Group. The 2 7th-grade weapons are an old wine gourd and a pale blue bead. They are Shutan Gourd and Heart of Blue. The former is an auxiliary 7th-grade magic weapon that can continuously produce special wine. It is quite attractive to most ferocious beasts and can temporarily make them lose their minds. The latter is a defensive 7th-grade weapon that can defend against attacks from the soul. In response, Chen Beiyuan just glanced at it casually and accepted it. Chen Jun, since the things have been delivered, can you hand the person over to me? The messenger of the Ito family bowed sincerely, without the strong demeanor of the 7th-grade war emperor, but more flattering and flattering. Bring people here. Chen Beiyuan's eyes were calm, and he glanced at Beiyuza next to him. I saw my brother-in-law clapped his hands, and someone dragged Ito Makoto, who was nailed to the cross, from the execution room of the Black Cell. When the envoy of the Ito family saw the tragic situation of Ito Makoto, his face seemed to be stiff for a moment, but he quickly reacted and buried his emotions deep in his heart. Go back and tell Ito Jiyue, that old dog, to discipline his eldest son well. To be a dog, you have to behave like a dog. When it's time to bow your head, you have to bow your head. What's the use of holding on? In the end, you have to kneel down. Please beg me? Chen Beiyuan looked at the Ito family envoy in front of him with an arrogant expression and patted his face with the back of his left hand, full of humiliation. I will take the message to the head of the family. Messenger Ito clenched his teeth and forced a flattering smile on his face. But deep down inside, I felt relieved. The other party's arrogant and domineering attitude means that they don't know those things. Otherwise, this attitude would not be true. After the other party took Ito Makoto away, the arrogance on Chen Beiyuan's face instantly turned into calm. He looked at the 2 7th-grade magic weapons in front of him, as well as the shared transfer letter of Sakura Group, then looked at his brother-in-law and said, pick one and take it back to your sister. You will get 2% of the 5% shares of Sakura Group. Chen Beiyuan is not a solitary eater. This time, he relied on the power of the Bai family, so he naturally needed to give something back. There are some things that others may not say, but you may not do. Eating alone can easily attract people's hatred. Brother-in-law is awesome. Beiyuza couldn't help but give a thumbs up. He shared half of the profits as soon as he made a move. This pattern is worthy of his brother-in-law, and it is indeed extraordinary. He was not polite and directly chose wine-swallowing gourd, which was obviously more effective for his elder sister. Chen Beiyuan shook his head, put away Heart of Blue, and said nothing more. Suddenly, a trace of astonishment flashed through his eyes, as if he had seen some disgusting scenes through some means. Really good at playing hotel? Lin Zhao's body was covered with scars after being cleaned. Lin Zhuoxiao was applying medicine to him, applying it evenly bit by bit. Seeing so many scars and bruises on the unconscious Lin Zhuoxiao's eyes flashed with murderous intent, as if he wanted to tear those yellow Taorin into pieces. For a moment, the scenes of Lin Zhao being pushed to the ground and tortured by those Taorin appeared in his mind. Gradually, besides the angry murderous intent, there was something else in his eyes, and his breathing became rapid. His hesitant and struggling eyes paused for a moment on Lin Zhao's sleeping face, as if he was thinking about something. It's okay. It's okay. Lin Zhao's eyes were still closed, and he fell into a deep sleep without any reaction. But what Lin Zhuoxiao didn't notice was that the fingers of Lin Zhao's right hand hanging on the ground were piercing deeply into the flesh. Perhaps sensing Lin Zhuoxiao's gaze, the clenched palms instantly relaxed. Chapter 147, Part 1. I have to say that Lin Zhao, the son of fortune, is indeed unique in his forbearance. Otherwise, it would not have been possible to poison to death several minotaurs who bullied him on the second floor of the Black Cell, with his hands and feet chained. Lin Zhuoxiao thought that what happened was done secretly, and Lin Zhao didn't know it, so he just thought it was a nightmare. It's a pity that he never dreamed that although Lin Zhao was weak, he would wake up long ago. Originally, Lin Zhao was a little touched by Lin Zhuoxiao coming to save him, but now this feeling has become distorted. He never expected that Lin Zhuoxiao would take advantage of others' danger and do such a thing to him. Now it seems that Lin Zhuoxiao is no different from those despicable Taorin. The only difference may be that they are not as big, as rough, and as powerful as those Taorin. Lin Zhuoxiao, who was busy, did not notice Lin Zhao's complicated mood at the moment, nor did he realize that just when he came into contact with Lin Zhao's open wound, some special toxins quietly entered his body. These toxins usually do not occur and are difficult to detect, but at critical moments, they are enough to kill him. With this move, he would have the trump card to blackmail and control Lin Jiuxiao in the future. It has to be said that at this moment, Lin Xiao is gradually beginning to evolve in the direction of benefiting animals. Compared with the benefits, a little physical humiliation can still be tolerated for a short time. Just when Lin Xiao was holding back, he suddenly felt his body relax, and then a fishy smell hit his face, making him want to vomit. At this moment, two hands suddenly grabbed his head. These are all dreams and nightmares. They will pass. They will pass. I will protect you from now on. Lin Jiuxiao looked at the ceiling and murmured to himself. I don't know if he is deceiving people or ghosts. At this moment, Lin Zhao's right hand that was hanging on the ground suddenly clenched tightly again, with veins popping up. It seemed that he couldn't hold it back, but he finally relaxed. Those who achieve great things do not stick to trivial matters. A little humiliation is bearable. However, Lin Xiao, whose mentality was gradually distorted, did not realize that a trace of evil thoughts on his shoulders was quietly seeing everything. Such a character is really terrifying. Chen Beiyuan praised. Lin Xiao, the son of fortune's forbearance, has obviously refreshed his mind again. I have seen many people giving gifts to girls, but it is relatively rare to give them to myself. As expected of a hero, those who achieve great things do not stick to trivial matters. If he hadn't read the original work and knew that Lin Xiao had no special physique, he would have suspected that Lin Xiao had some kind of special sacred body that attracted men. In the original work, Lin Xiaoka showed off his prowess many times, and Lin Jiuxiao, a righteous little friend, was the one who shouted Lili Uliu around him. Now, with his intervention, it was Lin Jiuxiao who showed off his power, and Lin Xiao, the son of fortune, was called 666. No, Lin Xiao should be unable to speak now. He is quite busy now. Ding, congratulations to the host for changing the original fate line, forcing the son of fortune's sexual orientation to bend, showing some signs of evil in his character, and partially losing his own protagonist's luck. Ding, congratulations to the host for receiving a special reward. Heaven's Child Fortune Gazing Technique, Divine Luck Ability. Heaven's Child Fortune Gazing Technique. Luck Divine Ability. The ancient emperor could see the luck of all living beings in the world while talking and laughing, distinguish good and evil from his own heart, and let people do what he wanted, observe good and bad fortune, judge the uncertainty of life and death, control the order of yin and yang, and obey the destiny. And 4. Note: if you use this luck divine ability on someone with a high level of cultivation, it is very likely that luck will backfire. Heaven's Child Fortune Gazing Technique? Another luck divine ability. Chen Beiyuan's eyes were slightly stunned, obviously a little surprised. In addition, the 4 divine abilities of Dependence on Life and Death, Retribution of Retribution, Immobilization Spell, and Blood Dragon Transformation are included. He has now mastered 5 divine abilities. You must know that divine ability is an ability that only the 7th grade War King can master. Now he is just the 6th grade Battle King. I'm afraid most 7th grade War Kings don't have as much divine ability as him. This is really a bit outrageous. If word spreads, I am afraid that many 7th grade War Emperors will be unable to hold back. However, at this moment, Chen Beiyuan is more concerned about the Heaven's Child Fortune Gazing Technique he just obtained. It can wish all living beings luck, observe bad luck and good fortune, judge the uncertainty of life and death, control the order of life and death, and act in accordance with destiny. Chen Beiyuan murmured to himself. A vague figure suddenly appeared in his mind. It was the Lord of Heavenly Secrets Pavilion, who once made a prediction for him and determined his future destiny. I have to say that the hexagram in charge of Heavenly Secrets Pavilion is very effective, and he must have practiced some special luck technique. Chen Beiyuan suddenly looked at his brother-in-law Beiyuan next to him, and directly used Heaven's Child Fortune Gazing Technique, as if another divine light surged deep in his eyes. I saw a touch of light purple nobility suddenly blooming on Beiyu's body, and above his head was a happy and galloping snow-white beast, accompanied by auspicious clouds, rolling around in joy. Even if he accidentally fell, he would get up with a silly smile. He continued to run around like a silly roe deer. The little snow-white beast occasionally looked at him with unabashed intimacy and howled at him from time to time. Surrounded by purple energy, it is an auspicious sign. Your mind is pure, and you are blessed with great blessings. Although there are occasional ups and downs, you will always turn bad luck into good luck. This is the destiny of great wealth and great wealth. If we can get rid of a little impetuousness, we may not be able to accomplish something in the future. However, if you take this path, the bumps in the road ahead will naturally increase, and your destiny and luck will also change. Chen Beiyuan's eyes flickered, and he secretly deduced. People's luck is not static. When you make corresponding choices, your own destiny will also change quietly. With Beiyu's current luck, he is definitely better than 99 people in the world. Backed by the Bai family, a top aristocratic family, her sister Bai Ruowei is the heroine of luck, a top aristocratic family, and the future empress. The brother-in-law is the young master of the Chen family, the future military leader, the head of the Chen family, the destined villain who is destined to become the ninth-grade god of war. Based on this background, even some princes of the imperial royal family do not have as high a status and background as him. Even if he encounters any setbacks, there will be someone to deal with the consequences. Just like what happened when Lin Juxiao's third leg was broken last time. In the end, the danger was turned into good fortune and Xiao Bai's life was saved. But when Chen Beiyuan looked at Bai Yu's mature and steady face, and then at the snow-white little beast above him that was bouncing around like a silly roe deer, he felt the corner of his mouth twitching. This Heaven's Child fortune-gazing technique has some tricks. You can see its true nature and distinguish between good and evil at a glance. At this moment, Bai Yuza hadn't realized that his silly character had been seen through by his brother-in-law. Chapter 148, Part 1. You just don't know what my luck is? Chen Beiyuan retracted his gaze and looked at the top of his head, but was suddenly stunned, with a hint of surprise in his eyes. It is different from the light purple luck manifested on top of Bai Yu's head and the white beast accompanied by auspicious clouds. The luck above his head was actually covered by a cloud of extremely dark air of chaos. The gas of chaos seemed to be alive, slowly squirming and rolling, tightly wrapping the things inside. Even Chen Beiyuan with Heaven's Child fortune-gazing technique could not see through the obstruction of that layer of chaos chi and directly see what was hidden inside. Obviously, he, the destined villain, has some special luck and fate. However, compared to things covered by the air of chaos, what Chen Beiyuan is more concerned about is that outside the energy of chaos, there are actually 4 slightly narrow long black trees floating in the air. They are closing little by little. At a glance, they look like an illusory, black coffin. For trees form a coffin, which is a sign of great misfortune. Is there going to be a calamity of death coming to me in the near future? When the coffins are merged, that's when the calamity of death will come. Someone wants to kill me? Chen Beiyuan's eyes paused, showing a thoughtful expression. As the young master of the Chen family, it is not surprising that someone wants to kill him. After all, the Chen family has many enemies and opponents, and there are also many people who want him dead. There are many people who can think of it, but only a handful of people and forces who dare to do it. Most of the rest are just in the stage of imagination. However, the death calamity is so intense, which means that this death calamity is no small matter. It must be something that could threaten his life. If it weren't for Heaven's Child fortune-gazing technique, he probably wouldn't have discovered that someone was secretly trying to harm him. This is intentional, etc. Chen Beiyuan paused and looked at the illusory black coffin that was slowly merging and about to condense into reality, and suddenly felt a little awkward. This illusory black coffin is not the style of Donghua people. On the contrary, it gives him a strange feeling of being petty. Black coffin, death calamity, boom. Suddenly, a flash of lightning seemed to flash through his mind, and he understood something instantly. Grandfather, ferocious alien race, invasion again. Contact internal agents, create chaos, force return, attack at the same time. Assault on a special big shot. Previously, Ito Makoto's confession resurfaced in his mind again. A hint of surprise suddenly appeared in Chen Beiyuan's eyes. So that's it, Ito Rikoshi's target is me? What could be more eye-catching than the news of the sudden murder of Chen Beiyuan, the young master of the Chen family, which shocked the empire and plunged it into chaos? If the designated heir of a huge family whose overall strength ranks among the top 3 in the Donghua Empire, holds most of the empire's military power, and has an army of millions of cultivators stationed at the border, even the royal family is fearful, suddenly, for no apparent reason, if you die, the consequences will definitely be no less than the sky falling. I'm afraid that the entire Donghua Empire may fall into civil strife. This move is really cruel. Chen Beiyuan knew very well the reason why Ito Ryu chose him, the young master of the Chen family, instead of his father Chen Zhiqing. It's because he is easier to deal with. His father Chen Zhiqing has an 8th-grade magic weapon to protect him, and he often stays in the 3rd war zone of the Donghua Empire. Once a military formation is formed, even the 8th-grade war emperor has trouble attacking him, and it is difficult to easily defeat him. It won. In comparison, the young master of the Chen family, whose strength is only the 6th-grade war king, is undoubtedly much easier to deal with. In the final analysis, you still have to pick the soft persimmons. Chen Beiyuan, who was treated as a soft persimmon, had cold eyes and a bit of anger in his heart, but more of relief and joy. Because, once he knew this, it meant that he had taken the initiative. It seems that the Ito family has just fallen in love with the Chen family. In other words, the old accounts from 100 years ago and the new accounts today are all settled together. When the imperial army comes to the Sakura kingdom, all the blood of the Ito family will be one and the same. Do not stay. Sakura country, Ito family. After Ito Makoto was redeemed, he was urgently returned to the Ito family through special channels. During this period, even the injuries on his body were not treated. As long as no one dies. Soon, with bruises all over his body and thick iron nails piercing his limbs, The unconscious Ito Makoto was sent to a man who was emaciated and exuded a rotting stench, with a large number of straps on his body, disgusting spots on his face, and eyes as ferocious as a jackal. In front of the old man. This old man turned out to be Ito Makoto's grandfather, Ito Rukoshi. Ito Ryu looked at the miserable Ito Makoto in front of him, without any warmth in his eyes, as if he was looking at a stranger. I saw him stretching out his skinny right hand and holding Ito Makoto's head. With a click sound, 5 fingers pierced directly into the flesh and blood, penetrated the skull, and penetrated into the brain. A huge will was forcibly injected, and he began to explore and search for something. The unconscious Ito-chung was suddenly awakened by the severe pain that penetrated his brain. He opened his eyes, his face turned pale, and he wanted to scream, but he couldn't even make a sound. On the side, father and son Ito Jiue and Ito Hideo, as well as other senior Ito family members, were watching everything in front of them in silence at this moment, turning a blind eye to Ito Makoto's pleading eyes. Jiue, you gave birth to a good son. Perhaps it was because he saw that the spiritual imprint he had left had not been touched, and his plan had not been exposed. Ito Ryu's old face with ugly spots finally showed a satisfied smile. Hi, thank you father for the compliment. Ito Jiue quickly lowered his head, showing a humble side without any dignity of the head of the family. The face that was pressed against the tatami finally breathed a sigh of relief. He knew very well how big the matter this time was. It almost ruined my father's years of planning. If one person is bad, everyone will be angered and punished. Fortunately, the current situation is not that bad yet. Father, please give Chung to me, and I will punish him. Click. Before Ito Jiue could finish speaking, a crisp, shell-opening sound suddenly appeared in his ears. A horrifying scene appeared in everyone's eyes instantly. I saw that Ito Ryu actually opened Ito Makoto's skull, revealing the beating human brain inside. He inserted his skinny fingers into the brain and stirred it, then took it to the corner of his mouth and licked it, as if to taste it, and then he started eating on his own. The shrill screams instantly echoed through the entire room. Everyone fell into deathly silence as they looked at the horrific scene in front of them. Chapter 149, Part 1. If you do something wrong, you will be punished. This is the ancestral precept left by the ancestors of the Ito family. Because of your mistake, the family's century-old plan almost suffered a devastating loss. Ito Ryu dug out the brain, bit by bit from the container in front of him, put it in his mouth, and tasted it carefully, as if he was tasting some kind of peerless delicacy. The old, shriveled and disgusting face, covered with disgusting spots, gradually gained a bit of fuller color, as if it had become a little younger. However, with his weird smile and ferocious eyes like a jackal, he looked a bit like a demon in human skin. Normal humans would not treat the brains of their own blood descendants as delicious food. Ito Makoto's shrill howl gradually became fainter, his ferocious expression began to stiffen, his face turned pale, his eyes rolled into white, and his whole body twitched crazily, like a monkey whose brain had been dug out. He looked blankly in the direction of his father, Ito Jiue, and murmured to himself, Father! Father! It hurts! It hurts! Ito Jiue's body trembled, his stern face seemed to be moved for a moment. He opened his mouth, but in the end he did not speak. In a sense, this incident is not entirely Ito Makoto's fault. Previously, his eldest son Hideo Ito was in charge of the plans for Heijo Daichi. Even when he later negotiated with Chen Beiyuan to allow the Sakura Group's arms business to enter the Black Continent, it was also his eldest son Hideo Ito's suggestion. Without the intervention of these two things, Ito Makoto would not have had so many connections with Chen Beiyuan, and he would not have ended up like he did now. In a sense, Ito Makoto took the blame for the father and son. However, it is acceptable to sacrifice a son for the great cause of the Ito family. I'm afraid Ito Makoto never thought until his death that he did not die in the hands of the Donghua people, but in the hands of his most respected grandfather. His previous persistence in the imperial tribunal seemed so ridiculous at this moment. He withstood the torture of the imperial court of justice, but he could not withstand the malice of his family. Even if he is in the Donghua Empire, if he reveals something, he can at least save his life and get some good treatment. It's a pity that there is not so much in this world, only cold reality. The blood of the Ito family died because of the Donghua Chen family, and this debt must be paid back. Jiue, let the agents lurking in the Donghua Empire prepare. Let's use Chen Beiyuan's life to pay tribute to Cheng's spirit in heaven. It's been so long. Those guys can't bear it anymore, and the plan has to be moved forward. Ito Ryu looked at the empty skull in his hand. A ghost-like smile appeared on his old, shriveled face, and he spoke extremely hypocritical words. Hi, father. Ito Jiue lowered his head and responded in a deep voice. Ito Ryu looked greedily in the direction of the east, as if through the obstacles of space, he saw the majestic ancient empire. In order to conquer this ancient empire, the Ito family spent countless efforts and time, and now it is finally time to harvest. As long as that ancient empire with a population of more than 2 billion is conquered and enslaved, by then, the Edo family will become the greatest and most powerful family in the world. Even if the entire human alliance becomes angry, the Edo family, which occupies the Donghua Empire and controls the Sakura Kingdom, will have a way to deal with it. If those people dared to push too hard, he would dare to completely unite with those ferocious beasts and alien races, and even throw himself directly into their arms. At that point, what will be lost is the power of human race. At that time, those old guys from the Human Alliance were the sinners of the entire human race. Dead people have no value, living people do, and those people will make the right choice. Ito Ryu laughed more and more triumphantly, his eyes as ferocious as a jackal full of ferocity and greed. At this moment, he has made a foolproof plan, and now he is about to launch the final plan. Over the years, he didn't know how much he had paid for this plan. However, Ito Ryu, who was in a sweet dream at this moment, did not realize that his carefully planned invasion plan had been exposed. Even his most critical link was seen through by Chen Beiyuan. At this moment, he didn't realize that he had completely angered the huge beast in the east that had been silent for many years. Today's Donghua Empire has become a bottomless abyss, just waiting for the Sakura people to jump into it. Click. Ito Makoto's empty head was ruthlessly twisted off and thrown directly at Ito Jiue's feet. Make this idiot's skull into a wine vessel. When the Donghua Empire is conquered, I will use it to hold wine and drink. Donghua Academy. Damn it. What do those lunatics of the Ito family want to do? They actually hide it from the Jingu family and join forces with other families to quietly make things so big. If one person is not good, the entire Sakura Kingdom will be buried with him. Jingu Fengyuan's face was filled with shock and anger, and he was obviously shocked by the urgent teleportation from his family. There was such a big commotion in the Ito family, in the Jingu family, as the royal family of Sakura Kingdom didn't know about it so late. This shows that they don't trust them. What made Jingu Fengyuan even more shocked and angry was that the top families in Sakura country made it clear this time that they did not want to bring the Jingu family with them. Fortunately, my father was a wise man and went to find the old immortal Ito Rokushi in person, so the Jingu family finally got involved. At the thought of being able to carve up the entire Donghua Empire, Shangong Fengyuan felt a burst of excitement from his soul. This undoubtedly gave him a unique pleasure of subduing his superiors, like a son beating his father. Of course, it would be better if this plan was led by the Jingu family. That old dog Ito Rokushi just wants the Jingu family to get involved. The Ito family, damn it. Unlike the greedy and restless Jingu Fengyuan, Jingu Yukino, the princess of the Jingu family who looked like a snow girl, frowned, and a trace of uneasiness and anxiety flashed through her misty blue eyes. She saw more danger than benefit. One of the disadvantages of Sakura country's Operation Snake Swallowing Elephant is that they will lose everything and even risk the country's subjugation. As long as this operation is led by the Jingu family, she won't think much about it. But this time it was that lunatic Ito Rokushi. If the plan fails, the Jingu family will most likely be withdrawn by that lunatic Ito Rokushi and become a victim of politics. If the plan succeeds, the Ito family's reputation will reach an unprecedented peak, and all families will follow the Ito family's lead. By then, will the Jingu family as a royal family still need to exist? Father, do you really not see the danger involved? If you don't participate in the Jingu family, you will be dead. An evil and handsome figure suddenly appeared in Jingu Yukino's mind, and murmured to himself, perhaps I can leave a way out for the Jingu family? Chapter 150, Part 1. Some things seem mysterious, but once the layer of paper is pierced, they lose their mysterious cloak and reveal their ordinary side. When Chen Beiyuan returned to Chen's house, he was called over by Chen's father's clone, saying that he had something to tell him about the mole who leaked the border defense map. Beiyuan, according to the information you got last time, the family has used some channels. The ghost, who leaked the border defense map and defense change time to Ito Ryu has been roughly found. Who is it? Chen Beiyuan looked at Father Chen's serious expression in front of him and knew that the identity of this mole was probably not simple. However, Father Chen's next answer surprised him. Lin Zhong, former commander of the 8th Theater of the Donghua Empire. Mr. Lin's biological brother? Chen Beiyuan's eyes narrowed. The inner ghost turned out to be a member of the Lin family. Moreover, he is also the biological brother of that old ghost from the Lin family. This means that when the border front fell, the Lin family was also one of the masterminds behind it. Was it the Lin family who secretly stabbed the Chen family? In this way, it is quite reasonable. After all, the Lin and Chen families have been at odds for a long time. But Chen Beiyuan was keenly aware that something was wrong. Father, I remember that Lin Zhong seems to be dead? Yes, he died just 97 years ago. It is said that because of the death of his wife, he was in a trance and died in depression. The expression on Chen's father's face became more and more serious, without any joy at finding out the mole. Would a strong man at the peak of the 7th grade war emperor really die in depression because of the death of his wife? I'm afraid even the dogs won't believe this. You must know that Lin Zhong is not only a 7th grade war emperor, but also a senior member of the Lin family and one of the big bosses of the imperial military. For someone who has reached this level, even if he has this idea, the Lin family will not easily agree and will definitely do their best to stop it. What's even more ridiculous is that the time of Lin Zhong's death happened to be the 3rd year after the Chen family drove away the ferocious aliens and regained the northern territory. This is too much of a coincidence. Did he really die in depression? Or did he die depressed by others? What's even more ridiculous is that the Lin family was very taboo about Lin Zhong's death and handled it in a very low-key manner. Lin Zhong's death was too coincidental and too weird, as if he had been deliberately silenced. If the Lin family is behind all this, then there is a high possibility that they will be silenced internally. But this kind of thing is always too obvious. The Lin family can delay it for a few more years before taking action. The traces left by then will not be so obvious. Everything seems to be too impatient. Old Ghost Lin has been fighting with the old man for so many years. As a father, he also knows his temperament. He is an old ghost who is good at forbearance and ambitious. His patience is also among the best among many 8th grade war emperors. This matter is so different from his style. My father suspects that there is someone behind Lin Zhong. What happened back then was definitely not just the Edo family, but other forces were involved. Father Chen looked serious, stretched out his hand, wrote a word on the table, and quickly wiped it clean. Chen Beiyuan's pupils shrank, a trace of strangeness and understanding flashed across his face, and he soon returned to calm. Be careful, you know people's faces, but not their hearts. Don't be fooled by the appearance of someone who has a heart. I understand, father. Blood pool. Chen Beiyuan, who was soaked in the blood pool, had dark eyes. He didn't pay any attention to the little silly dragon rolling around in front of him, causing a storm, but countless complicated thoughts flashed through his mind. That incident back then was probably not as simple as imagined. The person behind the scenes is more terrifying than he imagined, even more powerful than the Lin family. Even the Edo family might be just a pawn of theirs. This behemoth, even in the original work, is an invisible and terrifying existence. Things are becoming more and more complicated, and we must speed up our efforts to become stronger. Only strength is the foundation that guarantees everything. As long as my father breaks through the 8th grade, and I have the 8th grade fighting ability, plus the old man, I will hit the door in a minute. Regardless of whether it is true or not, we will fight later. If you want to improve your strength as soon as possible, you still have to rely on the opportunity of plundering the Sun of Fortune. Counting the days, the large secret realm hiding the Void Temple should be coming soon. Chen Beiyuan's eyes flashed, and he began to recall the major plots in the early stages of the original work. The origin of the Void Temple is mysterious, and it contains countless terrifying opportunities and treasures. Only cultivators below the 7th grade war emperor holding the Void Order can enter it and gain opportunities. Not only does it contain items that can increase lifespan and show fruit, there are also marrow-cleansing fruit that can reshape a person and improve their qualifications, and the 1000-year crimson fruit that can improve their cultivation. For me, this is undoubtedly the best and fastest opportunity to improve my cultivation. In the original work, Lin Shao obtained a large amount of resources in the Void Temple and rescued the 6th prince Zhang Yunhua, which led to the wonderful scenes later in which Zhang Yunhua sacrificed his life to save people many times. Just when Chen Beiyuan responded to some wonderful passages in the original work. Not long after waking up, the little silly dragon started making trouble again. Suddenly he showed a cunning and wise expression, rubbed his little hands, and quietly dived into the water. An hour later, the little silly dragon hiding at the bottom of the blood pool with a big bag on his head looked satisfied. He smashed his mouth with a gluttonous expression. His whole belly was round and looked like he has gained a lot of weight. The thick scarlet dragon tail swayed casually, like a dog in a happy mood. Yuan, so, eat. After bathing, Chen Beiyuan just walked out of the blood pool. The old housekeeper came over, holding an unopened envelope in his hand. Young master, someone sent a letter from Donghua Academy, saying that it would be delivered to you personally. I see. Chen Beiyuan raised his eyebrows, but without paying too much attention, he casually opened the envelope and took out the envelope inside. What he saw was a few delicate large characters and a faint special fragrance. Beware of the Edo family.
Thanks for watching. You can find the next videos in the playlist linked in the info card or directly on my channel. If you have any feedback, I'd love to hear it. Feel free to drop a comment.